Welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Welcome back. Welcome back. Quick shout out to the replay gang, guys. If you missed the live party, I'm so sorry. That's the best part. But you definitely still will enjoy this. But just make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, change the notifications to all, and never, ever, ever, ever again will you miss an Indian Jesus live party. Real quick, also, before we get started, just want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the stream, MySickShirt.com. Awesome shirts, whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus merch. Only at MySickShirt.com. All right. Who do we got? Hey, we got Iridium Kush in the building. If you guys are here, say hello. What's going on? I am so glad to be here with you guys tonight. This is going to be another fun one. Going back to the well. So not going to be too many surprises, I don't think. But I've really been liking the IRL Destiny debates. I think that I really enjoy the Crowder Change My Mind segments because of the nature of how it's set up. And here's my position. Your role is to change my mind. And that provides a structure for a healthy conversation. And obviously, it's a very different thing when with the two channels, the things that they talk about, the levels of awareness and familiarity they have with the topic. All that stuff is going to be very different. But that's precisely why I appreciate that Destiny, somebody who spends his whole life behind a computer just like this, going out into the real world and getting into some debates. And so the one we're going to get into is spicy, shall I say. It is spicy. Guys, if you could do me a huge favor and hit the like button before we start, that would be amazing. Thank you guys so much. And without further ado, let's dive right in.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm Carson Wolf. I've watched your stuff a while.
Okay.
You know, I'm a Brandon fan. I'm pro Biden whenever he was doing like the 1994 crime bill and whatnot.
Oh, snap. Oh, man. I have not heard that one. That's a good one. Yeah, I was pro Biden in like 94. These days, I don't know.
Okay. And when he was more base, but now he's being super cringe. You know, he's essentially just like a walking zombie. And you got all these like lefties and these like trannies. And, you know, a lot of these people just kind of occupying the power vacuum that's going on right there. And now, you know, crime's increasing. They're trying to, you know, they're classifying like countries like Sweden and the United Kingdom as like human rights abusers if they don't follow
struggle
the
streaming
foreign policy
already?
of transing the kids. I think that's a bad idea. So
Okay, let's focus. Okay, firstly, chill on transphobia.
Okay.
Secondly, let's focus on Biden. I don't know what Biden has to do with like figuring out trans policy in Sweden
well,
or the.
he was him and Blinken worked to send out a memo to the United Nations.
A memo is a memo.
Yeah,
But
and
in terms
it's
of, like,
classifying countries.
So as you can see here, the original change my mind position was Joe Biden has been a good president, change my mind. But very quickly they've gotten off onto other stuff. And
I don't encourage transgenderism for children. Classification as human rights abusers.
Yeah, but
and because like what has that done with Russia?
Actually,
you know, Russia.
Props to these dudes. We're only at 125, and I'm like, hey, let's slow this down.
Has been completely cut off by half of the world right now because they're human rights abusers.
Another sovereign country.
Yeah, but that is the fact. They're saying like human rights abusers and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you can argue that there's human rights abuses that are happening in Ukraine. Like,
okay, but so do you agree with the foreign policy of doing that?
Of condemning Russia for their actions in Ukraine?
No. The one we were talking about earlier.
Of the United States posting memos on how they view human rights should be treated around other countries in the world?
Yeah.
It would depend on the enforcement mechanisms and the consequences of said memos.
Okay.
Like, I think the United States has every right to recommend like directives in other countries and then condemn them if they don't follow them. But it's going to depend on what the specific penalties are or the enforcement mechanisms of those policies to know if I support it or not.
Okay. Well, I think that it's pretty bad foreign policy, all things considered. I mean, Joe Biden.
In what regard? You
It's
disagree with it or
wrong.
bad?
I think,
Okay,
cutting
so then-
off the private parts of children and nations and spreading our empire to do that.
Hey, we got Erica Vegan Soy in the building. Welcome, Erica. Glad to see you. Glad you are here. We are just going through another Destiny IRL. Change my mind. Welcome.
That is, it's just a bad idea.
Okay, I don't
And
think
it's morally wrong.
Okay, are trans issues really that huge of a part of American foreign policy?
It seems to be with the.
I don't think it is.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer, but that is a good question. I think that, in general, maybe not pop culture, but just American culture definitely has a big effect on geopolitics. Maybe not directly in terms of, oh, this movie came out, and so now, whatever. But that's a good question. Does the whole gender politics thing? I think it makes other countries look at America and be like, oh, what are they doing over there?
I don't really think. I think that in the general conversation of the world today, I don't think that trans issues are the things that we're focusing the most on.
Well, it seems to be that a lot of people on his side care about it. So
you
said it yourself. Stop with the transphobia. Stop with that's going against YouTube's guidelines. I know that.
Well, no, it has nothing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if we're not just trying to own the libs, obviously, that using the phrase tranny is not accepted anymore, and there's no reason to just. You could call them the alphabet community. You can call them the LGBT community. And that's still like a way to like undercut what it is without using a direct word that is gonna trigger people. And with the structure of, hey, let's sit down and have a civil conversation. Even though I agree with his positions, he's coming in a little hot.
If we get specifically,
not that Destiny can't handle it, but
into trans issues, right? I think the important thing when you talk about like trans, you bring up like cutting penises off of children or whatever. Like, I think it's important that if you've got a child and you've got a doctor and you've got a parent and they want to pursue some medical thing for their kid, I think it's important for those three parties to be able to have that conversation without like a state or government intervening in that conversation.
And so, what's the difference between like that and Joseph Mengele?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was a SS doctor. He did a lot of these sex change operations. The only difference was that they didn't choose to do it. So what's the difference?
That's probably
now?
a pretty big part.
Exactly.
Choosing
but
is probably a pretty.
You're saying that there's like virtue in just choosing to do something.
I'm saying,
well, I know that they're not there, but Destiny just said choosing is a big part. And I know that this conversation always goes down to, treatment for children. And I don't think that children can consent. So I thought they were going to go there, but just a quick aside, children cannot consent.
I'm saying that as a parent, if my child has an issue and I want to address that issue with a physician and the physician is making a recommendation, I don't want to feel like the state is going to get between the three of us making the decision that I would say is best for my child.
Facts.
Have you ever considered that there's a money aspect of doing that? That
the money
people
aspect
are trying
doing literally everything.
Like, so literally destroying children just for money. That's like essentially what's going on.
You could argue
and
that
people need to have the choice to do that.
Being anti-trans is just...
Yeah, Erica is here saying the government decided to let people cut their peepees off because it's a eugenic project. A lot of people are wondering that clearly this is not a way to make America better. And so, when they're talking about it in the context of geopolitics, this is really, at the forefront of what are they trying to do? Tim Pool talks about all the time about how like Bill Gates and those types of people are very open about the fact that they think there's too many people on the planet. And so sterilizing children and cutting off your reproductive organs, it's not that far of a stretch. It's really not.
Destroying children just for money. Like, I mean, what do you mean? You can argue.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, well, of course you wouldn't, because ideologically.
Because there's definitely people willing to destroy children for money. So what are we?
Just for money. That's like essentially what's going on.
You can argue
and
that
people need to have the choice to do that. You can argue
being anti-trans is destroying children just for money. Like, I mean, what do you mean? You can argue.
Can you though? I would love to hear that argument, Destiny.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, of course you wouldn't, because ideologically that's what you're aligned at. But you could just as easily argue like, oh, okay, well, we're going to say he's not trans, but it's going to pump it full of like SSRIs for the rest of his life. There's money there to be said as well. Like,
that's way more of a left-wing position than that's just a different left-wing position. That's not a right-wing position or a MAGA position or anything. Like, It's weird to me when people who are for this gender politics stuff act as if this has always been the default. It's like, what? You don't get it? You don't understand why this would be what we want? It's like, no, you're the one with this fringe, extreme, radical new idea. And so, hey, I'm here to listen. But it's just like, well, you would say that just because your ideology, like, yes, that is what I believe. What do you mean? That's not an argument.
Like, I mean, there could be money on every side of any issue. You need a more intellectual and prudent analysis than to just say, well, there's money there, so it must be wrong.
I think mine is intellectually and prudent. I think it's important to just acknowledge that this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing that on our foreign policy, especially.
Well, hold on. What do you mean it's wrong and we shouldn't be doing that?
It is wrong. It is. I mean, why aren't you transgender?
Because I don't feel like I'm transgender.
That's a dumb question. I was nodding my head along with you, bro. And then well, why aren't you transgender? Just because you believe that it's good for people who have gender dysphoria to be able to transition doesn't mean you think that being trans is better than being cisgendered or whatever. That's not what these people think.
Yeah, so it's all about feelings and choice, is what you're saying.
Well, a lot of
there's no inherent virtue.
This is called liberalism. I mean, if you're like in an authoritarian, autocratic regime that we say we have no choice or whatever. But I think in general, I think in Western society,
I disagree with that framework. I think you can choose to do wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
You acknowledge that?
You can always choose to do wrong things.
Yeah. So there's no inherent virtue in choice itself.
There's no inherent virtue in choice itself, but there is an.
There's no inherent virtue in choice itself. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that I disagree with that. Just because you can choose the wrong thing, having that choice, I think, is inherently virtuous.
Inherent virtue in choosing virtuous things.
How did we get on this? We were talking about Joe Biden.
Well, now you're going to be a huge criticism of liberalism, and you're the one that wanted to make a conversation.
I'm illiberal. I'm illiberal. I'm going to face
obviously
it.
I can tell. Yeah. I don't think the Grubbers are very liberal. But like,
whoa. I don't like that label.
I hear him. I see him everywhere.
What
did he say? The growers?
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, but like seriously, if you have a person, I guess then your argument is you just don't believe trans people are real at all.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
So how do you account for people that have said they're trans?
Which doesn't mean that he doesn't believe that those people who identify are non-existent. He just thinks that biology is biology, and it ends there. Now, I'm a little bit more open to the idea that people deal with these issues, and we genuinely have transgender individuals around us, and I don't have a problem with that there. But it's everything that's all the woke politics that's layered on top of that really I have an issue with. Come on.
For like so much of human history,
I've said they're trans. Like people who say that they're another gender.
Okay, but like, so then we've tried conversion therapy for a long time. It doesn't seem to work.
It seemed to work quite a bit.
Absolutely.
No, it did not.
It did not.
How come?
Because it didn't.
Because it's stupid. What is? Come on, guy. You're talking about conversion therapy? Like, how about we don't need conversion therapy. We just need to stop the incessant pumping of the same message as an agenda over and over and over and over again. We don't need conversion therapy. If you have mental health issues, you might need therapy of sorts, but it's not to say, oh, the way that you are think of yourself is wrong, and so we're going to try to change that because it's inherently wrong. It should be more, you perceive the world in this way, and that makes you feel bad, so let's change the way you perceive the world, but based on realities, not converting you from one team to another team or anything like that.
Yeah,
you think that shooting people up with hormones and then calling it like, affirming is better for people?
For the people that it works for, yeah, that does seem to be a successful alleviation of problems.
So you want to ignore the suicide rate of them too?
Suicide rate of who?
Of trans people?
Well, the suicide rate of trans people seems to increase or improve after successful treatment, assuming they're in a supportive community. So, I mean, what do you want to...
How do you even measure that? Like, how do you measure if it's afterwards? Because you're saying, trans people, quote unquote, which I don't really believe exists, before, they don't commit suicide. And then once they transition and cut off their nuts and whatnot, then they're prone to suicide. And so like that's exactly my argument. I'm saying that it doesn't improve people's lives.
So what I think that this dude, he's not very good with his words. I think he has some. Hey, we got JR in the building. What's good, brother? Yep, just watching another Destiny debate about Biden, trans stuff, all that good stuff. Glad you're here, brother. But I think this guy at the table here is, he seems to be paying attention, but he's young and he probably doesn't flesh these ideas out very often. And so he kind of has an idea of what he thinks and what he feels, but when actually pressed, then what comes out is silly. What I think he's trying to say is that we've seen studies that if left alone, children who have gender identity issues are more likely to turn out to just be homosexual than anything else. And so to put them in the category of somebody who is now trans inherently raises their risk of self-deletion. Statistically, not like on an individual basis, like not taking this person and because you transition them, that makes them necessarily more likely, but statistically, absolutely it does. Somebody who is not trans is astronomically less likely to self-delete than somebody who is. There's no two ways about that.
But for the people that it does, it clearly does. And there is some research to suggest that people that get gender-affirming care do have higher qualities of life.
And I will say that the research a lot of the time is, ideologically focused as well.
And again, he's right about this. Of course, we know Destiny's going to come in. Well, I guess all the ones that agree with you are right, and all the ones that agree with me are wrong. But like sometimes that happens. Like what happened with the sugar industry, the trans fats industry, the opioid industry, all of pharmaceuticals. I mean, this is what it is. Some people are right and some people are wrong. And we saw some of you are old enough to remember the food pyramid. That was settled science. Didn't have any gluten-free menus back then.
Well, in the same way.
So the research that's not ideologically focused is the research that agrees with you?
Called
yes.
it!
Okay, well,
pretty much.
When we all hated trans people, like 10 years ago...
Well,
Whoa, I never hated trans people. Destiny, maybe you hated trans people. I never hated trans people. Did any of you guys hate trans people?
He's arguing to hate
everybody
people.
said that like conversion therapy and stuff worked. It still didn't, right?
Hey,
You can argue that the research saying that like gender-affirming care and stuff is biased. Okay, sure, there might be some researcher bias. That's possible, but there's no research supporting conversion therapy. There wasn't for gay people. There's not for trans people. That doesn't seem to work. So, insofar as we care about people, if we do, I do, maybe you don't, but if we do care about people, then our goal should probably be to find like what are the treatments or therapies or ways of assistance that we can help people to live better lives.
Yeah.
And insofar as that goes, for a person that is legitimately trans, not just a person having a phase in college or a girl that dyed her hair, but for a person that's legitimately having a trans experience and has had for their entire life, it seems like some form of gender-affirming care is the only way to actually alleviate their dysphoria. Just telling them, no, you're not trans over and over again doesn't seem to be very successful.
I
disagree. I think, obviously.
Yeah, he completely disagrees, but I don't think that he has the faculties to be able to explain why. I agree with, no, I fully agree with what Destiny just said. Let's go back because you got to take the specific things, the specific claims that are being made, and go off of that. Because there's a lot of just chatter and bullshit in the middle. Let's go back a little bit and see exactly what this claim is.
Has had for their entire life. It seems like some college or a girl that dyed her hair, but for a person that's legitimately having a trans experience and has had for their entire life.
So for a person who we agree is, if there is such a thing, which myself and Destiny agree, there is such a thing as having a trans experience. For those people,
it seems like some form of gender-affirming care is the only way to actually alleviate their dysphoria.
So I agree with that. What a homeboy here should say is that, yes, I agree with that. However, and I do mean how, and then ever, shout out to Actual Justice Warrior, that really is the crux of the issue, because that begs the question, okay, how many of these people are in fact legitimately dysphoric? How many of these people actually do need these treatments versus how many people are, just part of the social contagion. Erica says, I think people should be allowed to do anything to their body. I mean, adults, yeah, sure. I agree. That doesn't mean that, I agree that people should be allowed to do heroin, but that doesn't mean I think people should do heroin. There's a difference. And so it's not about, outlawing things. It's about what should be, what ought to be. I you guys know me. I'm a flaming libertarian. Anything that the government wants to do, I don't want it to do. I want the government out of every aspect of our lives as much as we need. There's some aspects where we do need a government, but I think literally everything besides military and maybe criminal justice can be done better in the private sector than the government. And so I definitely agree that people should be allowed to do anything that they want to their body. Should they? Is really the question that we're entertaining today.
Just telling them no, you're not trans over and over again does seem to be very successful.
I disagree. I think obviously
that.
Well, I mean, it's just
you can just untrans somebody.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, okay.
You can. I mean, there's.
So this is where I'm starting to be like, all right, are you actually having this in good faith? This conversation in good faith? Do you really believe that? You believe that conversion therapy is a real thing? Like we went through this with the gays in the 90s. It didn't work. It doesn't work.
There's been a huge mission to raise awareness for people going through transgenderism.
Right, but those are people who have chosen to detransition themselves. It's not people who are going in. And again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be opening the door or opening the floor for people to talk about, oh, I made this choice and it wasn't the right choice for me. I would be much more comfortable with the whole thing if the detransitioners had a louder voice, because now we're getting both sides. But those people are pushed off to the side and abandoned by the trans community because they're looked at as traitors and apostates. I don't really know. I don't know where this guy is going, so I'm interested to see.
Whatnot. And also, specifically on the Biden memo, that was specifically focused for children to recognize.
Like a minor part of like all of
I know, and you focused on that. I was.
Is it though? It is not a minor part of this conversation to talk about children. It simply is not. There is anything that is acceptable for adults has an effect on children. It would be nice. It would be nice if we could have all of these things for adults that just were completely barred away from children. Things like alcohol, drugs, pornography, sex work, all this kind of stuff is fine for adults. But children can get access. And so that is not a minor part of the conversation. I still don't think that it should, I agree with Erica. It doesn't mean it should be outlawed just because some child might see this and make the wrong decision. I don't think that's the government's role. I think that's our role as society to have conversations like this one and this one to spread the message that, okay, yes, you are allowed to do this. You should be allowed to do this. But really, really think about it before you do it. Just in case.
I haven't heard of it. You're the one that literally brought it up. You said,
I brought it up as one example. You folks got it.
I'm not. That was the example you brought up. There's a war in Ukraine right now. There was Afghanistan to talk about. There's all sorts of other foreign policy issues. You've got inflation. You've got OPEC. You've got oil. And you're like, remember that memo that Biden sent out for trans kids to? I don't even know about this memo.
You should look it up. It's pretty interesting.
Sounds not very interesting, but
it is. It is pretty. But yeah, you want to move to another subject?
Sure. Give me one more area you feel like Biden's not doing.
The border. I'm not a big fan of coming in and swarming our country and essentially just.
People are coming in and swarming our country.
Yeah, I mean last year, 1 year, about 2.4 million people crossed the border illegally.
Cross the border and returned back.
That's just estimated. It's probably more.
Sure, cross the border and return back, or like.
Why does that matter? I mean, it matters, but in terms of border security, if they were here in the first place, That is what we're talking about. Whether or not they went back is a minor part of the conversation. If the conversation is border security, if they got across in the first place, whether they went back or not, says nothing about security.
Like illegally made it into the country.
Illegally entered the country.
I don't. 2.4 million? I
Yeah.
don't think that's true.
I covered the story.
Did you really? Who
yeah.
was reporting on that?
Me. I'm saying I wrote
Well,
it.
no, but I mean, like, who was what are the numbers coming from?
wrote
2.4
it.
million.
Oh, I think it was coming from the CDC.
That's a huge number of people to come
Yeah.
in 1 year.
Should we?
Well, that's what it was.
So, like, somebody let me know. Do you trust that number, or should we look it up?
Were these coming in illegally, or were these people like granted asylum or granted refugee or
coming in illegally?
Oh well.
So there's probably a higher estimate of that. But so do you not acknowledge that there's crisis at the border?
When I looked into the quote unquote crisis at the border last time, it just seemed like business as usual. It doesn't.
Business as usual. Business as usual, as opposed to when? The last 2 years where Biden was in charge? Yeah. Business as usual. Just people walking on by with their Biden shirts. Oh, Biden told us to come. Business as usual.
Have like a high political goal right now, or there's like a high political attention to border stuff because people are more focused on the economy. But
yeah, people are more focused on the economy. I'm not too big on the economy, frankly, but
you don't care much about it.
Well, I do, of course I do.
Yeah, like the old saying, it's the economy, stupid. That is the number one thing. These what do they call them? Dinner table issues. The things that every day people feel in their own lives. You can talk about the war in Ukraine and Russia. You can talk about trans rights and all this. But most people don't contend with those things on a daily basis. Gas prices, food prices, things like that. Those things everybody feels. So, again, a little weird. I think it's just, you're at a college, younger dude. I don't really care about the economy. He's probably there took out a bunch of debt that he's going to ask us to pay for in a few years. So we'll give him a pass on that one.
I want families to be able to, I want a father to be able to afford living, raising a family on one single income. That's very important. Nowadays, things aren't looking so good for that. But yeah, I mean, the economy is important, and we're probably going to win on that. But so you're a Joe Biden fan?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Joe Biden head.
Exactly.
Brandon head. Okay. Yep. But like, what's your reasoning? Because your sign says that. What's your reasoning behind it?
I think his legislative accomplishments so far have been pretty impressive. I think that the
legislative. I am sorry I've even paused this.
Handling coming out of the coronavirus stuff, the amount of stimulus.
What? How could you possibly say anything positive about Trump or Biden with the Rona stuff? The entire thing is a bubble of history where we're always going to be able to look back and, hey, that was messed up. We messed that up. We did that wrong. Everything at every step of the way was done wrong with that. That's a hell of a thing to top your list.
He was able to push for, especially the increase of the child.
Yeah, the stimulus that everybody was able to push for. The stimulus, I think, was good. Given the fact that they had to close down, or let me rephrase, the fact that they did close everything down. They didn't have to, but they did. So I do think that one stimulus check was needed, given the circumstances. Giving everybody $600 a week for months and months and months and months on end, I don't know about that.
Tax credits I thought were really good.
I do agree. The child tax credits were good.
Him trying to do what he can from the executive position of like.
Oh, please don't. Please don't tell me he's going to say Afghanistan.
The marijuana forgiveness and trying to get it rescheduled with the DA is good.
Okay.
Yeah. The student loan forgiveness.
Yeah. No. I was going to try to say, yeah, I'm down with the free to tree. Shout out to Jersey Shore Extracts. But the student loan forgiveness. Nah. I don't understand how this is a talking point of the left. I just don't get it. You took out a loan. You went to school. You got an education and a college experience. Why should I have to pay for that? I paid for I didn't pay for it. Luckily, Daddy paid for my college. But I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very lucky for that, and I am very appreciative of that. But that's my own dad, an immigrant who came here with nothing, and worked to become somebody who could provide an education to his child. Hey, we got Salty Plays in the building. So can I get a free Indian Jesus shirt? You can loan it to me, and then I'll use it. I use debt relief. Well, I mean, you're leading the Discord competition right now. We are doing a competition for ranking and points in Discord, and Salty Plays is in the lead. So if you win, you not only get the gift card, you get the free shirt. So just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll be yours. You'll never have to give it back. Welcome, buddy. Welcome. But yeah, this is student forgiveness. I'm hoping this guy will at least have some type of question, because if anybody, I would trust Destiny to be able to discuss or articulate the position, even if I don't agree with it. But I think he's just going to keep listening.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but like politically, it's a pretty smart idea.
Yeah.
I feel like he's handled our foreign policy exceptionally well. I think that
he's handled our foreign policy exceptionally well. There's this place where I think it was like Afghanistan, something like that, where they left probably, I don't know the amount, but millions of dollars worth of equipment, and let people who were fighting for the Americans for decades. How is that exceptionally well?
Ukraine was good. I think that even though it felt bad pulling out of Afghanistan and finally finishing that, I thought was a good thing. Yeah, in general, I think Biden has exceeded most expectations from the left for like getting the recent huge legislation that had like the biggest spending in like green energy and stuff. I thought was good. The infrastructure bill was good. Yeah, I think he's done a really good job so far.
Okay, so most of your stuff is like very, the stuff that voters care about, and whatever. But I don't know. I don't think that's like quite enough, because I think that I'm more right wing ideologue.
You don't say.
I think it's very important that we shift the culture. So I guess we just care about different things. I would be in support of all of those things if people gave us control over the culture and the society that we're molding to do that.
That I agree with.
What's control of the culture, man?
Most influence over pop culture, news, where people get their sources.
What is it? So pop culture. How do you get control over pop culture?
Not having every single show be about a woman who is a victim and she's so strong and brave, and all the men around her are either stupid or evil. Stuff like that. Stuff like that being allowed to be played on the airwaves. That's how. Even both Tim Pool, Tim Cast, and Tom McDonald both came out with new songs today. Did you know that? Did you hear it on the radio? Wonder why. That's how. Salty Play says it was terrible pulling out. I agree. We were using too many resources there. But look now, the Taliban took over. How funny. Yeah, who could have ever seen that coming? It's, hyperbolically, it's basically like we left it exactly as we found it. I mean, maybe that's not. I mean, I honestly, like I said, foreign policy is not my strong suit. Is it worse? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody told me it was worse than when we got there in 2002 or whatever.
It doesn't seem hard to do when you guys on the right are always saying that, like, you'll say on one breath, like, liberal arts degrees and all that are for losers.
I'm liberal arts.
Oh, what do you do?
I said, shit, me too. I got a BA in psychology.
What's your major?
I'm poli-sci in history.
Okay. Well, okay, sure. But like a lot of people on the right would like make fun of you for that, right? You agree, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So I feel like the right wing has this problem where they've constantly demonized people going after liberal arts, and then several generations later, they're like, "Fuck,
no. The issue is not that you are getting a liberal arts degree. The issue is that you are getting a degree in liberal arts and then complaining that you are not making the money of a different type of degree. You don't get to do gender studies and then complain that there's no jobs for you. That is the complaint, is that you feel entitled. You feel entitled to everything, but you would feel entitled to study. I just want to like the things that I like, and I'm going to take out all this money and do only what I like, and then you're going to pay it back, and I'm going to get a cushy 6-figure job just doing the things that I like. No, that is the issue with people getting gender studies degrees, not or liberal arts degrees, not the fact that they are studying liberal arts. I think things like psychology and philosophy are some of the most valuable things to changing the culture that he's just talking about.
Education liberal education is the ideal, in my opinion. You know, I wish that people were going to school and learning about some of the great classics, the great writers. But
the white writers.
Well, I mean, some of them are white, some of them, you know.
Why? Again, why? Like, did he say that? That's the gaslighting. He just said great writers. Well, they're white. Why does it matter if they were white? If it's valuable information, then it's valuable information regardless of where it came from.
Some of them not so much, but a lot of the ones I like maybe, but you know, that's frankly irrelevant. Like, I wish people were learning about those sort of things, but they're over here learning about BS diversity in architecture. Yeah, that's literally a class.
BS diversity in architecture.
Yeah, well, no, not BS diversity. The class subject is diversity in architecture, and I'm not a big fan of it, frankly.
What do you need a class for diversity in architecture? Architecture is already a very culturally diverse field of study because, you know, like Japanese buildings are done one way, and there's a lot of people who that's already baked in. To have a whole class on that is wasting time, wasting money. And then he's going to say, oh, yeah, student loan forgiveness. So he says that's where the left goes wrong, is entitlement. They want everything easy, and they don't think it's fair how someone got rich and they didn't know how. Hilarious. Yup. Guys, if you're just joining us, we are watching Destiny debate in real life about trans issues, diversity, all that stuff with a huge MAGA guy. I would love if you could hit that like button. Let's get back into it.
Favorite class.
What's wrong with the class?
It's focused on expanding like diversity in architecture. Like, architecture is beautiful.
Diversity in architecture.
Because frankly, Western architecture is beautiful because of something that you know that I talk about too. And you know,
is this guy like a personality? Like he's talking. He said he covered an issue. He said, I talk about. That's like, is he somebody?
Just like expanding, just people having like black people in architecture, Hispanics. I don't think that's productive at all. We need good architecture. You
don't think potentially
like look around here too?
You don't think there's potentially something lost in not being able to look into other cultures to like gather information for how they did things?
What do you think architecture already is? That is what you've just described architecture. The Greek columns, the way they did things in like I said, Asian architecture is something very unique and beautiful for that very reason. So that's why it's confusing. That architecture is a perfect example of where the study of diversity within that realm is not necessary because it is already very culturally diverse.
Well, I mean, I'm a Catholic, so a lot of my
surprise
and is focused around, Catholic Western architecture.
Is there value that you can draw from looking at how other civilizations are ending? So when I would,
I don't like it.
Yes, that would be studying architecture.
A lot of other cultures.
I don't care if you like it or not. Your goal is to get educated. It's not like I want to take class about things I like. It's I want to expand my mind and broaden my horizons, right? So
that would be international architecture would be a way more appropriate class. If that's what they're learning and they're just calling it diversity in architecture, then bad name, whatever. But I highly doubt that's what they're talking about. it's I mean, what do you? It's this many people of this race and this many people of that race. So this race is a Western.
I study music in school, right? And typically, most of our music is organized around like Western.
You went to music school?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
is organized around like Western concepts of like how music is organized, to put it simply. But you can look into other cultures to get different ideas of like how could we do like a different system of notes, or like what kind of different rhythms could we draw from different cultures. And there are some things that if you spend your entire life studying, like classical romantic composers or studying only Western music, you would essentially miss out on this whole like other world of how you could arrange and orchestrate sound. And
Exactly, Destiny. There's something called semitones that if you listen to Western music, or if you've ever seen a movie where they're doing drugs and they use the sitar, like wing, bang, 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 those notes don't appear in Western music. This is music. They're in between notes of what we would like. You don't find them on a piano. They're the in between notes. That is already baked in to learning music. So to talk about diversity in music is redundant. Erica says international style architecture is racist because it's Western globalization style. Well, I don't know that much about architecture, so I'll have to take your word for it. We got JH in the building. Ba, 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 ba. Welcome. So it sounds more like we need more minorities not looking at minority culture architecture. Sounds more like we need more minorities not looking at minority culture architecture. Yeah. I mean, just the people who are interested in it should just do it, and the people who are better at it will be diverse. Again, that's inherent to what we're talking about.
I feel like,
but that's also implying
the same for architecture as well. No,
that's also implying that there's superiority to be found in over there.
Absolutely not. What a weird take.
No, I mean,
you can appreciate the diversity of something. I'm not saying it has to be superior, or inferior.
Right? No, like saying that we're missing something. That we're missing something.
It's about expanding. Here. It's about like diversifying. I guess like your understanding of the world. It doesn't have to be like necessarily. I would say it is superior to have a more diverse understanding, but understanding those other things doesn't make them superior.
I think that's also how you have a country lose its identity, and I think that's how you lose a country.
Identities are constantly changing over time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, of course you would say that. For
sure. Like, oh, we lost our identity. We're America. Like, what identity? Like, most of the identities that harken back to are European, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like
that's great.
It's not. We're not Europe. And if you go to Europe,
I mean, we are. We're found from Europe.
Tone I'm talking to an American is when they talk about like a European identity, because
this is where it's showing that the guest here is not used to this realm, and I understand that's the point of the to post up where you're gonna find these college kids who think that they know everything and they really don't, and of course Crowder does the same thing, but this is where you can see that it's not that Destiny is more right. It's just that Destiny is better at debating.
That's only something an America would say. If you go to Europe, they don't talk about a European identity, right?
Yeah, they do. I mean, they talk about different, like, Italian culture.
Yes, thank you. I was going to stop him and say, abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. They talk about country identity. They don't necessarily have a European identity, which I do think there's probably something there. But as he's saying, Italian culture, Spanish culture, French culture, those are all very distinct and very well celebrated. And I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah. Talk about French culture.
Yeah, but it's not going to be European ever.
Oh, no.
Why are you making that argument? That's not like Europe is a continent. America is a country. Just like Italy, France, and Spain are countries. We're not talking about a North American identity. We're talking about an American identity for the United States of America. Solid Places. What's funny is how they can only name countries that do things better than us, that are only white, or maybe not only white, but mostly white. Interesting.
No, I mean, even in America, we were founded from Scottish traditions. We're founded from English traditions, French.
Like, our contributions to the world have come in large part because of the diversity that we have here, right? Hip hop.
I don't think so.
Absolutely, hip hop and jazz and all of these.
I would agree with Destiny there.
Those are our greatest accomplishments.
Those are huge accomplishments.
I think we've commercialized everything just of like we've created culture. No, but we've created culture off of what can be bought and sold to other people, and that's not a sustainable culture.
Well, but that's international. That's not an American thing. Like, we live in a global economy, and so therefore, commodifying or commercializing something to benefit from it monetarily is how we look at the world.
Okay, first of all, most of the classic, like, great art that you like is art that was literally commissioned by kings and queens, right? So
And
the idea that, like, somehow because some stuff has been commercialized is bad totally sidesteps everything I was saying before, right? The fact that there's a commercialization of music doesn't like change the fact that jazz was probably America's like greatest contribution to the world of music, and that came arguably from an enslaved population, right? That came from, but not just them. It came
For
from them
sure.
taking what they understood from some European backgrounds of music too.
I love black people music.
I'm sure you do. I know.
I
Kanye
love
West,
black music.
all right. I know a lot of you guys here are white conservatives. Don't ever I get what you're trying to say. Don't say, well, I love black people. I love black this. I love black music. Don't do that. It's not a good look, and it does not send the message that you wanted to send. In fact, it sends the exact opposite message. It's a dog whistle that you look at all black whatever as the same.
Music. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. No, it's like unironically true. Black people have earned their place in America, I think.
Okay,
That's not what I'm arguing
Hispanic
against.
people and Asian people here have earned their place.
But I mean, these people are American.
Sure, yeah.
Black people are Americans.
Sure, and so are Asian Americans, and so are other American people that come.
Well, how is that a response? He's making a claim that regardless of the past, black people, African Americans are in fact Americans. So why is he saying I don't know why he's bringing up Asian Americans. JH says, I wonder if that's a JLP. JLP? What's JLP? JLP. I don't know what JLP is. Eric says, globalization is killing cultures around the world and replacing it with consumer society. That is very true. That is very true. I think the caveat there is that we're all playing that game. So maybe moving towards a global consumer society is not good, but if we are already headed down that road, then I would rather be winning. I would rather be not losing that battle. Jesse Lee Peterson, JLP reference. Let's back it up. I don't remember what he said. Let's see.
Okay,
that's not what I'm arguing
against.
People
and Asian people here have earned their place.
But I mean, these people are American.
Sure, yeah.
Black people are Americans.
Sure.
So, and again, this is I don't understand why Destiny goes to this.
So are Asian Americans, and so are other American people that come over, Mexican.
Yeah, but creating like these, national enclaves within America
just makes enclaves. But I mean, like, if you come to like any large city, you can see all of these people intermingling, walking around, interacting.
I mean, I don't think you see that anywhere outside of a church where people.
And again, dude is not good at nailing down what the fuck is your point. I don't understand what you're arguing, Destiny. I don't understand what you're arguing. What we're just saying things.
People are all embracing this common culture.
If you go to any major city in America, I promise you see all sorts.
I mean, I disagree. I mean, you see Chinatown and Koreatown, these kind of like national enclaves within the country itself.
You can literally.
Both of those can be true. You can go to New York City and see a bunch of Asian people, and a bunch of Hispanic and and also. There are these national enclaves, as homeboy put it here, with Chinatown, Koreatown, and so on and so forth. They're Destiny's not doing a good job of nailing down his point, and I do put that on him because he's the one that does this for a living.
Like they maintain their own culture, and it's like
you say maintain it, but it's in a small part of the city. Like these people travel to other parts of the city, and other people travel to those parts of the city. If you go to Chinatown in New York, you don't only see Asian people; you see all sorts of different people, right? If you go to places in LA that have like different like cultural little enclaves, it's not.
That's where I'm from, actually.
It's not sure. It's not GTA 5, where as soon as you go there, all the cars change and the people change, right? You see like a ton of people in all sorts of different parts of the city here. I feel like for the most part, people are really critical about like America and diversity. We're falling apart. I don't think we are. I think we've done like really good. And so, like, I would argue.
I would say,
like movements like America First. When I look at like the very far right movements, I think that they are some of the shining examples of diversity because you people include so many different types of white people and even Hispanic people, even black people.
So the only thing with that,
like being American.
What I will say with that is, I think that the only way that we can have these kinds of competing cultures in which people aren't at each other's throats is through unity in Christ, because essentially everything else is
there
division.
we
I mean, you go to a
go.
church.
And see, I'm half paying attention. I'm half paying attention because I'm typing up a poll, and I hear, "Oh, go through Christ." It's like, brother, you've just lost everybody who isn't already on your side. Keep dogmatic language out of politics.
Church, you can have people next to one another, whether they're trans, even trans, I guess, and like black people, Asians, everybody.
People,
we're all like commonly worshiping
they're not commonly
Christ.
worshiping.
How's
You're
so?
Catholic,
I
right?
am.
Okay,
Yes.
I was part of my archdiocese in Omaha. Different Catholic churches fucking hated each other. You're not telling me that all of Catholics, half the Catholics right now hate the fucking Pope, who's a direct son of Peter.
That's.
How do you?
I don't agree with that. I'm a Pope. I'm a Pope defender.
But a lot of Catholics
Pope
are,
nationalist.
right? So if you have a division, and this is a guy that has the closest you can get to a fucking holy mandate from God.
True.
And half the Catholics hate that
Stephen
guy.
Bonnell,
Yeah,
Catholic
art.
art.
I'm not shaking it.
Well, why not?
So
he's like, I'm not shaking your hand.
If you can't even get Catholics to agree on the fucking Pope.
Wait, was there? Did he say something, or was it just a
fucking holy mandate from God?
True.
And half the Catholics hate that
Stephen
guy.
Bonnell.
Yeah.
Oh no! Stephen went to go say. I'm calling him Stephen now. I don't like calling him Stephen. Destiny went out for was just talking, and he thought it was a handshake. Oh no! Let's go. Oh,
the fucking Pope, who's a direct son of Peter.
That's.
How do you?
I don't.
See,
I don't
right
agree with
there.
that. I'm a Pope. I'm a Pope defender.
But a lot of Catholics
Pope
are,
nationalist.
Right? So if you have a division, and this is a guy that has the closest you can get to a fucking holy mandate from God.
True.
And half the Catholics.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's the hand, and he's like, "Hey,
Stephen Bonnell, Catholic art."
I'm not shaking it.
Well, why not?
So if you can't even get Catholics to agree on the fucking Pope, how are you going to tell me that Catholic people are the ones that are going to unify?
Yeah, a lot of that division is because
that's a fantastic point about if you can't even get Catholics, one sect of Christianity, to agree on who is supposed to be, the number one. That really, really doesn't speak strongly to the dogma that you and other sects preach. Because if you have the truth, then how are there so many other people with the truth? And it's different than your truth. And then you want to get mad at me for recognizing that and agreeing with you that all of them are wrong, but somehow you're right. Okay.
Because of the liberalization of the church and kind of leaving things open for individual churches and not following the mandate that the Pope has set. And we should all follow the guidance of the Pope.
Some mandates.
And so again, I think a lot of that is due to liberalism as well. Protestantism is the epitome of liberalism, where it says
so we
be
need
your own
liberal
church,
government, and then we need a state. Oh my God, state monarchy? What do you guys push for?
State monarchy.
Yo, hit the poll, kids.
Or isn't Fuentes a monarchy guy?
I'm not Fuentes.
You sound just like him. I know you're Fuentes. Okay.
I'm not Fuentes.
Oh, see, that was a low blow from Destiny. And it was unnecessary because he was not losing this debate. He was holding himself well, and because because he's Catholic and because he's a MAGA guy, he automatically calls him a Nick Fuentes, who is extreme. Who knows which logical fallacy that falls under?
Fuentes hates me, actually.
Wait, who are you? What's your name again?
Carson Wolf.
Oh.
Okay, let's. Okay, so that was what I was looking for. Carson Wolf. Oh, so he is like a dude, like a person, like a.
In the American conservative movement, there is a clear.
Okay, so 2,000 subscribers. Okay, cool. Fuck it. I'll subscribe. Maybe we'll have a little chat. Maybe we'll go through some of this stuff. Let's just check his last.
Did the United States just commit an act of terrorism against Russia and Germany? Well, Tuesday morning, Danish sources reported seeing an odd bubbling foam coming from the Baltic Sea. Later, that a Swedish seismic wave facility reported detecting explosions in the same area that this occurred in. What happened was the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which has been shut off since the outbreak of Russia's operation in the war in Ukraine, was blown up. But who blew it up? Well, a Polish member of parliament who's married to a top U.S. journalist tweeted out, "Thank you, USA." Not long before the explosion, the United States Congress announced an investment in shipping natural gas via cargo ships and not through the pipelines, which is why we're asked, did the United States just commit an act of...
Interesting. So I'm definitely gonna have to check a little bit more of that out later. And he's a smaller channel, 2,000 subscribers. Maybe we can get him on and chat with him. So Carson Wolf.
You post on the? Are you?
So that makes a little more sense. Why he was like, "Oh, you're a Fuentes." That he is a conservative commentator, YouTuber, so on and so forth. Still an ad hominem. That was a logical fallacy. Still an ad hominem, but not as low blow as I thought.
Those guys?
What do you mean?
I try to keep track of all the different names in the group. I don't know who like has schismed off or.
Yeah, no, he doesn't like me very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys disagree on? What was your splitting point?
I'm not very big on inceldom. I think it's a very unproductive thing.
Yeah, and that it's so weird to me that Nick Fuentes is. I mean, I'm sure there's other people like this, but I especially being familiar with the red pill community, it is weird to me that people openly and proudly identify themselves as incels. Like, okay, I don't, I'm not dating right now is not my focus in life at all. But I don't like the MGTOW label, men going their own way. I don't like that because it comes with too much baggage. Like, I'm just me doing me. So I agree with dude here saying that, like, especially somebody as big as Nick Fuentes saying, "Oh no, I'm an incel," unless he's saying it in the context of, "Oh, I'm a Catholic, so I'm going to wait until marriage, and so even though I want to have sex, I'm not going to." But I don't know. I don't look into incel shit that well, but just saying.
And I think we need to focus.
Are you going to give us a strong opinion right now
on inceldom?
Is Nick gay? Oh no.
Oh
man. Okay, that's right. That's all I need to know.
No, I don't think so. I think that's he's a.
What if he was?
Catholic guy. So
that doesn't tell me anything more if you know the history of the Catholic Church. And
whoa, Catholic people molesting people. It's almost like the sexuality of the people molesting is important. And there's more molestations in schools, but whatever.
I'll give you the.
Well, there's a shit ton more schools than there are churches, or there's a shit ton more children who go to school than there are children who go to church. So that would make sense, and that's not really a feather in your cap.
Okay. Final point. Yeah. Go.
On which subject?
Whatever subject you want.
I'm a big Destiny fan. Destiny, shake my hand, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the conversation. What's your name?
Lane.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, homie number 2. So, what did we think about that guy? I think he had some strong positions. It makes sense that he is a YouTuber. It makes more sense that he's a small YouTuber because he wasn't very good at fleshing out the ideas that he had. Was very willing to just be like, "Oh, he's just some random college kid." So, So, student number 2. Let's see what this guy has to bring.
So, I don't have a lot of time, so I just kind of want to hear like your opinion on like why you think Joe Biden's a good president. Like, I just want to hear like why.
Yeah, sure.
That's a great way to start a conversation. That is a great way to non-confrontationally just be like, okay, I may or may not agree with you, but what I want to know is what you think. That's all. I just want to know what you think.
On the most macro, zoomed out level possible.
Yeah.
I think Biden came in trying to like cool the temperature on the American political conversation, and he promised that he was going to be really effective at bringing the left and right together to kind of agree on things. And I think that his legislative accomplishments are very impressive so far. I think that
we got per usual in the building. What's going on? And we got the Mikey Story. Hey, Mikey Story just put out a great video today. Not in love with the title, but I am in love with the message. Go check that out on the Mikey Stories YouTube channel. What's up, guys? Glad you are here. We just finished the first student debate with Destiny IRL. Changed my mind, so perfect timing. We're just going on to student number 2, and he opened the conversation perfectly by simply saying, "Okay, you like Biden? Why is that?" So let's see what he's got to say.
The way that he's handled foreign policy has been pretty impressive so far, and I think the way that he's tried to like balance that line of being a president for everybody without like shitting on the Republicans constantly has been pretty impressive so far. So on the zoomed out level, yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
We're 50-50 on the poll. We got 2 votes. Come on, guys.
I'm not positive because I see like a lot of like very biased things. Didn't he say like the MAGA Republicans, like kind of putting us all in a category away from everyone else?
Yeah. So I watched that entire speech. I would argue that he did something positive there, and that he's not attacking all Republicans. He's trying to draw out and specify a very specific group of people.
Is he though? Is he though? Hey! We got the one, the only Dr. Evil Genius in the building. Welcome, brother. He just did a fantastic stream. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago? Had like 250 people in there. It was awesome. Go check that out. What does Dr. Evil Genius say? He said, I heard your distinctive ass voice through per usual's microphone. Oh, yeah. Welcome, brother. Welcome. Preacher said I didn't because I just joined, so I don't know what I'm voting for. Fair enough. But yeah, I'm glad that I can pull you in. That's the power of the Indian Jesus. Welcome, brother. And again, awesome channel. I'm gonna pull that up and drop that link for you.
Now, obviously, if you belong to that group of people, which is a large amount of Republicans right now, you're going to feel like he's otherizing you. But I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do in the United States right now about the large contingency of Republicans that think the election was stolen. It's like really difficult. Yeah.
If we're gonna go there, I don't think it was stolen.
Sure, but I think there's a large amount of like MAGA Republicans. And there's a lot of candidates right now that are being supported that think the election was stolen, which is really scary.
I would say it wasn't 100%. Like, I don't think it was stolen. I don't think the margin of like falsified votes is big enough to change the results of the election. I think Biden was going to win whether or not. I think the hatred towards Trump was so large that whether or not there was any like meddling with the election, he would have gotten elected anyways. But
I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair place to land on all of this. Like people who think that, like, it was so obvious for 5 years. It was a 4-year term for 5 years. Everybody was so just out of their mind against Trump that it makes sense that people wouldn't want Trump to win. Now, it does make sense that a lot of people also were diehard for Trump. But the fact is, when you change, so first of all, they changed the rules with the mail-in voting. So that's a big thing too. So I do think it is a fair position about the election not being on the up and up. But I do think Biden would have won anyway. We got Divining Rod in the building. Welcome. Pizza boxes of freedom. Don't know what that means, but glad you're here, brother. So you missed the last guy talking about it. But we got I think 3 students in this one. So stay tuned. Come on.
Oh shoot, what was I saying? But you think he's done an effective job of bringing the country together and putting everyone
as much as one president can. Yeah.
I honestly, I think he's done that in the way of making people dislike him. Like, do you think he's like fit for office, like mentally fit still?
I mean, like,
oh, that's a good question because obviously he's not. He's fucking Cornholio.
He definitely has some old guy problems, but I mean, like, his record legislatively has been incredibly impressive compared to Trump, who was a lot sharper.
Has it though?
Who got tax cuts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it.
I mean,
that was like a standard Republican bill, right?
I genuinely, if Trump if I'm 18 now, so I
Uh-huh.
couldn't have voted on the 2016 election.
Sure.
I probably would have voted for Trump, but not because he was Trump, because he wasn't Clinton.
Sure. Can I? And Hillary Clinton was probably the only person that could have lost to Trump. So I'm not even
Yeah,
age for that. But like, so here's a question. Given the opportunity to vote for like Trump or DeSantis, who would you go now if you could vote right now for a new
Bro, I will buy you a charger.
president?
Oh, come on, man.
Or do you know anything about DeSantis? Or
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, he's
Okay, see,
probably
'cause this bothers
Trump.
me because I feel like DeSantis is the obvious answer.
I feel like DeSantis is if I feel like he's more radical than Trump was.
What? More radical than Trump was? In what way? Because I can see things like if you're saying, look at the Martha's Vineyard thing. That's a bigger stunt, I think, than any one thing that Trump did. Maybe. But by and large, the fact that the man existed was itself a controversy. So more radical in what way?
I feel like he was like
Sure, but Trump was so fucking ineffective as a leader. Like, even let's
Exactly. That is why you will never, ever get me to vote. I mean, never say never, but as it stands today, you will never get me to vote for Donald Trump. Because he is an ineffective leader, not because of what he thinks or he says or but because of how people react to him. That's it. I mean, that's not it. There's other issues. But when we're talking about, in the context of a politician is going to be a politician. There's only so many shades of politician. And Trump was pretty far outside that. But at the end of the day, he still played the game of politics. But it's not because he played it horribly. It's because of how people reacted to him.
say I am a Republican and I like Trump.
Yeah.
He couldn't fucking do anything, right? I feel like Trump's major selling point when he came into office was, I'm a businessman. I'm going to get people together. Corporate inversion. We're going to fix it. We're going to do everything.
Gas prices were as low as they could have been in like a long time. Our economy was
It's the economy, stupid.
as stable as possible.
Okay, hold on.
Military-wise, we were very, very strong.
Dude's spitting bars right now. Because even one of the biggest things that was, I would say, pre-political red pill. I was politically red pill way before I was dating red pill. But politically, very near before I was red pilled in terms of politics was the situation where, there was something going on with North Korea. And Trump, I think he was in like the situation room or whatever they call it. And the phrase I remember is saying, he said, fire and fury. Something along the line, if they try to do anything, they will meet fire and fury. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? This is North Korea, motherfucker's insane. But it worked. It worked. And now we are in yet another war that is likely, maybe not likely, but possibly going to turn into a literal world war. Might literally turn into the post-nuclear dystopian future that we see in every other movie. So I'm going to have to agree there. Mine not changed.
I like.
So a couple of those things. So one, our economy was strong.
Yeah.
But what was the building points of our economy? One was another huge tax cut. Two were huge deficit spends, massive budgets. I think some of the largest in American history until Biden came in. And then three was running historically low interest rates for his entire presidency, even though the economy was booming.
So you do think Trump was a awful president? Like he was
I
really
think,
bad.
well, I think that he was awful insofar as ideologically I'm super opposed to him. But even if I was Republican, I would feel like he's awful because he didn't fucking get anything done. He didn't.
Oh, like all the other Republicans. It's not like he started that whole. You remember how before you praised Biden for getting out of Afghanistan? Whose plan with that was that? This jab that you're all about, and you were fighting to call us bioterrorists for not getting it. Guess whose project that was? Your God on Earth, Anthony Fauci. Guess who didn't fire him and listened to all the fucking bullshit that he said before he was out of office? So what are you talking about?
He didn't get any legislative accomplishments. He had both halves of the fucking Congress and the president.
I think he also had.
And again, that is not uncommon. That is what the fucking Republicans do. They are a speed bump for the Democratic Party. So the fact that that wasn't the case with Trump, if it wasn't for the fact that everybody's brain just exploded seeing his face or hearing his name, then he would be one of the best Republican presidents we've had in modern history. I don't like the guy, but I don't know how you can argue that.
Had a very crippled candidacy. Like his administration was very crippled. Like you had COVID for 2 years or like a year and a half.
COVID was was it even a full year of his presidency towards the end?
Yes.
Like a year and a half-ish. Like, because it was like the end of 2019 and then all of 2020.
My time has completely been eroded by COVID. But sure, yeah, that definitely fucked him up a bit. Although his handling of that was also pretty cringe. Like,
right, but whose suggestion was it to lock down the entire country? Do we really think that if Trump was left in a room alone, that he would say, yeah, let's shut down the country for 2 years?
Like, even if we agree there's more or less he could have done, like, him getting on and be like, oh, we only have 6 cases here, guys. Like, everything's okay. Like, really?
Yeah.
Yes, really.
I don't know if I'm arguing so much that that Trump was a good president as I am Biden is a bad president.
What do you think something is?
There you go. Hold on. That is how you refocus the conversation when somebody is trying to move the goalpost. The question was, Joe Biden has been a good president, changed my mind. It has not. Nobody has to say that Trump was a good president because Biden is a bad president. That's moving the goalpost. And so now, instead of talking about what Joe Biden has or has not done, we're talking about what Trump has or has not done.
It's like, so do you think Biden is bad insofar as he's ineffective, or you're ideologically opposed to him?
Both.
I think he's ineffective. You know,
What do
I feel like if Trump was in office, the Ukraine crisis would not be going on.
How can people think that, though?
I think.
Why wouldn't you think that? Maybe because it didn't happen under Trump. Are we under the impression that Putin didn't want Ukraine back, didn't want Crimea while Trump was in office? Oh, honey, sweetie baby. Why do you think that it wasn't until Biden's administration that all this shit went down? Because he's weak and he's old and he's fragile and he won't do shit.
He was very powerful, and I think he's scared. He wasn't scared to do shit. Like, you know, like I feel like Biden is just like standing by and letting Ukraine do their shit. Like,
okay. Firstly, Trump was the most we have ever undermined NATO since its inception. Trump
good. Fuck NATO.
Constantly shit on NATO.
Again, I'm not trying to argue like Trump was like a great president.
Again, good point. I was dragged into it too. The conversation is not, was Trump a good president? The conversation is Joe Biden a good president.
No, but I'm just saying, like, insofar as like supporting another country in a global conflict, I don't know if the guy that undermines NATO as much as Trump did would be the guy to come to like Ukraine.
Again, look at it right here. Right here. This Joe Biden has been a good president. Changed my mind. Trump could be the worst president ever. That has nothing to do with whether or not Joe Biden is a good president.
Ukraine's defense, like when Russia is threatening to invade. And I'm only basing that off of like, if I think of the other Trump like foreign policy accomplishments, like all of his skirting with North Korea was embarrassing. We didn't really get any concessions from them. They got a bunch of photo ops. I feel like pulling out of the Iranian nuclear deal was bad.
I guess I'm just like what genuinely has Biden done? Like what is?
I feel like bringing all of the countries together under NATO to support Ukraine. I feel like
that is a bad thing. I don't want a fucking world war. I don't want to be involved in Ukraine. Fucking give it to Russia. I don't fucking give a shit. Maybe that's ignorant, but I'm an American. I live in the Western Hemisphere, right? Yeah. And I'm sorry. But there is just only so much I can genuinely care about. And before it became a nuclear ordeal, I don't care. There's people dying in America. There's people who are poor. There's people who need lots of things. But yeah, let's give billions of dollars to Ukraine.
What has that done for the American people?
Well, Ukraine is about Ukraine and the U.S. hegemony over the world. That's not going to be for the American people. For the American people, we don't.
Right. It's not going to be for the American people. And that is the problem. That is the problem. We are looking to help Americans. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And that is, for whatever reason, what the Biden administration is trying to do. I don't get it.
We'd have to look at like, I would say legislatively, I would say like the coronavirus relief stuff, especially those child tax credits, boosting that to 33,000 a month, 3,600 or 3,000 a year, 3,600 a year.
Okay, I come from.
So the second time he's mentioned the tax credits. Okay, tax credits, good thing for children. Okay. Anything else?
Family of nurse.
I mean, it wouldn't need those credits as badly if we were still under the economy when Trump was in office, but yeah.
Practitioner, and then my father works at UTD.
Sure.
And they both make okay-ish money. They make pretty good money.
Yeah.
But we didn't get anything from the stimulus because, like, my mom had to pay for her student loans, but they don't look at that. They don't look at our debt. They don't look at our payments and stuff like that. They look at the price tag. They look at how much you make.
Sure, but if you said your parents are both working in a hospital.
No, my mom works at a hospital. My dad works at UTD, like University of Texas at Dallas.
Okay. I mean, if they make like pretty good money, they probably don't need much of that.
Well, but like we had car payments, we had mortgage payments, we had student loan payments for both my mom and dad. We had like I played sports, my brothers played sports. Like you have all these other
Sure.
And is he asking for anybody else to pay for that?
I guess I don't know your family's particular situation, but I do know that in the United States, that the middle class like saved and took home more money over the coronavirus time period than they.
Yeah, because they printed more money in a year than they had in the history of America. That's like I just saw a thing about how the White House put out a tweet that said there was the biggest bump in Social Security in 10 years. Well, but Social Security is tied to inflation. So the reason it went up is because of inflation. So that is not a good thing. And thanks to Elon, people were able to fact check, and the White House took that tweet down.
They had like the prior year.
Yeah.
Like the amount of stimulus and everything given was unbelievable. The amount of people that were working from home that weren't spending money on like services and stuff, and like the average savings of middle class Americans was absolutely huge. And then for the
was it though? Because a lot of people just spent that money coping with the bullshit that we were living through. Do you think people saved that money? By and large, yeah, some people did. I put I didn't touch that money. I put that shit straight into a crypto, which doesn't do it great now, but eventually I'm gonna be rich. But most people I know were just like, hey, no work, no nothing, let's party, let's get drunk, let's meet up at the fucking bar every single night. And when the bars were closed, I was like, all right, well, they got the liquor stores open, so let's go to your house, let's go to this house. Oh, you want to buy a bag of Coke for $250? Why not? That's what most people were doing with their stimulus checks, outside of paying for the rent that they actually need to pay for because the country was shut down.
And then especially even people on like unemployment insurance were making it like crazy because of all the stimulus given. It might be that maybe your parents was like a very unlucky like minority percentage that somehow got screwed, but like I feel like a lot of people made off like pretty well.
I think there was a lot.
But again, made out well in the short term because they had a bunch of money, but now that money is worth a lot less because of the inflation due to the money printing. Destiny knows this. Destiny is way smarter about this shit than I am. Destiny knows this. I don't know if he's being purposely disingenuous, if he's playing stupid. Maybe he's just not as good in real life as when he's, you know, behind his computer. I don't know, but he knows better than that.
There was a lot of gray area in that legislation. Like his idea was like there was a lot of gray area because I had a friend who's
right there. There was a lot of gray area. That means it's not a good policy. That means it's not a good policy. There shouldn't be such a gray area.
Mom worked as a nurse anesthetist, but she was technically her own boss, so she could file independent, didn't have to file a lot of her tax. She basically committed tax fraud, but she got a lot of money from the stimulus check because she filed.
Because you can also apply for the
small
PPP
business,
loans.
Yeah, which was also like a huge boon to keeping a lot of people employed and getting a lot of money back to people. But which was good.
Except for the people who applied for those loans and spent it on bullshit. And there's a whole fucking docket of people who are in trouble with the IRS for spending PPP loans on personal shit. So who exactly is it that saved all this money? This is just it's just not true.
Yeah, but for those people that take advantage of it, and
I mean, yeah, you should. I fought for the PPP. Yeah, it's there for Americans to take advantage of, right?
I guess so. There's
that again. Why do you think that is a good thing? Yeah, there's something there for us to take advantage of the other people. Like, that money doesn't come from nowhere. That is tax money. That is why we are in the fucking situation that we are in now. Of course I'm going to take control of it. Of course I'm going to take advantage of it.
And like people like us who like sat there and were like, okay, but you make way more money than me, and you're getting stimulus money. Like it wasn't fair.
Sure, but I feel like
does anybody think that Destiny, who before he was banned was the biggest streamer on Twitch, at least at one point? Actually, I don't know about that, but he's big. Does anybody think he's hurting for money?
Unemployment insurance was huge. There was a lot of people that were like, oh, sure. But there were a lot of people making more money on UI throughout some of the coronavirus pandemic than they'd even been making while they were working.
Yeah,
like that was why some Republican governors wanted to like aggressively start cutting it because they were worried that was contributing to the really, I think it was high unemployment. People were worried that they weren't filling job openings because the unemployment insurance was so
I guess
high.
I want to change gears more to like,
go for it.
Like Biden's like mental health, I guess.
Okay.
Like, I mean, look at like there are videos of him like shaking hands with nobody, like looking around, no idea where he is. Secret Service has to guide him where to go. Like, I don't know how.
Hey, man,
how you can have a fit president who has
isn't fit.
I mean, like, yeah, he's a wanderer for sure. He gets a little lost sometimes, but if I look at his like actual legislative accomplishments, foreign policy accomplishments, it seems like
is that so much him though, or is it his administration? Is it
Afghanistan? That is all that needs to be said. You can never, ever, 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 ever be complimented on your foreign policy when you did what you did in Kabul.
Whatever, dude. A man is only as good as the people he surrounds himself with. Trump should know that he's a businessman, right?
Yeah.
And like, if anything, I would be more embarrassed that Trump got less done than like the senile dude who's like walking around like bumping into walls sometimes.
Okay, well, Trump, I feel like his plans were not so much one term. He was his ideas were like he started building the wall. He started like doing all this stuff. He didn't expect to get that done in 4 years. He wanted it done in 8 years. He was and then after that, it wasn't so much like he wanted to get all of this stuff because he had a lot of promises, he had a lot of ideas that he wanted to get done.
But he also, I think Trump probably had more excuses than any other president that I've ever seen in my life. He blamed Congress. He blamed the people around him.
Yeah, because those people deserve blame for certain things. Now, I definitely heard Trump say some bullshit about something that, the whole line is the buck stops here. The president, you are the president. There is nobody higher than you. So whatever happens, it's on you. And there was definitely, a lot of shifting of blame. But again, what is Karine Jean-Pierre? What is her whole job? Her whole job is to take all of the bullshit that Joe Biden does and twist it into something that sounds like, not that bad. Not that bad. And Biden Ron brings up another great point, not to mention all the new vehicles that have been repossessed that were bought with stimulus money. Literally, there are acres of them at auctioneers. Really? I didn't know it was like that because I'm looking for a new car. I drive a lot, so I'm looking for, I want a hybrid, but like something that's like a little bit sexy. Right now, I'm just driving like a Chrysler 200. It was, I've had it for like 5 or 6 years. And fun. I'm not like a huge car guy where I need like a nice car. I really, as long as it gets me from A to B and got a decent sound system, we're good. But maybe I'll check that out. Thank you, sir.
Constantly backstab
Okay,
people in his
but
inner circle, people in his legislative
Was the
circle. people in his
news really on his side? Like,
Forget the news. I'm talking about people that he chose to work with, that he ended up backstabbing, that he ended up like throwing aside, that he ended up hating. His relationship with his personal lawyer Cohen was a disaster. People around him getting arrested by the FBI.
okay,
like,
anything after like 2020 is like a blur, bro.
I know. I mean, he's having a lot of problems with people around him. He kept blaming this phone, but it's like, damn, dude, these are your own fucking people. At some point, you got to
I
take
guess so,
responsibility
yeah.
for who you're surrounding yourself with, right? Like,
I would say his stuff was more long term though.
okay.
I wouldn't say it was so much short term. Like it wasn't like Biden's stuff.
Well, maybe he'll have another 4 years coming up to get
What's
back.
that?
Maybe he'll have another 4 years coming up to get back on track. Maybe.
I'm not voting for that dude.
Well, who would you? So you would vote for DeSantis?
I don't know if I'd vote for either of them.
Why?
Like,
Oh,
in
who
the
would you-
primaries, like I wouldn't.
Who do you think you'd vote for? Who do you lean towards?
I think it's too early to ask that question, but
I want Crenshaw to run. I don't know if he is though. I haven't heard anything about it. I want Crenshaw. I like my family's. I have veterans in my family and stuff. I like his policies. I think. Like,
Okay, I'm just curious. A personal question, because you have veterans in your family.
Yeah.
Did the comments that Trump made about veterans not bother you at all?
What do you mean?
The comments he made about McCain.
What do you say?
I prefer those who don't get caught. Like that's just a Trumpism. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say. Yes. Okay. Yes, it is a mean thing to say. I don't know what either of these mean, really. What, are you on something? Are you on Adderall? You're just going at it. Pure blood is the new Bitcoin? What does that mean? And who is Dan Monaco-Ellipse? What are you going off on, homie?
So when he was running during the primaries, geez, and I guess you would have been like fucking 14 or 13,
Yeah.
huh? Okay, sorry. So
I was a freshman.
Yeah,
in high school.
in high school, yeah. So there were multiple
I'm
statements Trump
old.
made where every time he made them, everybody in America was like, "There's no way he's going to make it because this is like horrible," but he still did. He made comments about McCain. You're familiar that like McCain,
That's exactly. What did he just say? Let's back this up.
so there were multiple statements Trump made where every time he made them, everybody in America was like, "There's no way he's going to make it because this is like horrible," but he still did.
But he still did. Have you stopped to question why that is, Destiny? Because it doesn't seem like you have.
Comments about McCain. You're familiar that like McCain was a prisoner of war and all of that,
Yeah.
like tortured, like couldn't raise his arm above, like
Yeah.
Trump was making fun of McCain, saying like, "I prefer the guys that didn't get captured."
Well,
Isn't that kind
Based.
of fucked up? If you're like
a little bit, I guess, but I mean, Biden said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So like,
yeah, but that was obviously a misspeak. Trump was
The cope on, and I mean, I'm willing to agree that was a misstep by Biden, but like, how many missteps are allowed? Because there's a difference between purposely saying something that you don't like, and it may not be nice, but it's whatever. It's just mean words, and either saying things that don't make sense, saying things that are directly offensive. Like what is the line here? This is just a conversation devolving into whatever. So you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna skip to the next guy because this guy's boring. What is it?
yeah, I can sell you a fireman. I don't ever have to record that with the federal government. I just make a sale, record it, and then I'm good.
We're just talking about some stupid gun shit and
That's what people say when they mean.
Okay. There we go. Student number 3. Let's see if we get back into some of the more spicy shit like the trans debate.
I don't think Joe Biden's been a good president. Is this good distance?
Yeah, right up to your mouth. Try to speak kind of loudly because we don't have a speaker now, so people can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think Joe Biden's been a good president.
Okay.
I'm by no means a Trump fan. But I think I have a standard in all of.
I'm glad that he put that out at from the get. I'm not a Trump fan, but no, I don't think that Joe Biden has been a good president. So that should be inoculation from the conversation going down the same road. Divine said McCain broke his arms from not tucking them in when he hit the eject seat on his jet. That's crazy. That's wild. I mean, respect. Like, Still don't like the guy. Still think he was a terrible, had a terrible influence on America by and large. But respect for that. Kudos where's due.
My leaders that I want them to actually solve a problem they purport to want to solve.
Okay.
And I think Joe Biden has intentionally done the opposite of that in a lot of different aspects.
Gotcha.
We could take student debt. We could take marijuana. We could take inflation. We could take infrastructure.
He's trying to do $10,000 of loan forgiveness, or $20,000 if you didn't qualify for Pell Grant, which I think he's trying to figure out what he can forgive as being the president from the Department of Education. But I don't know how much more he can do without like some sort of legislation from Congress, because I think even the current student loan forgiveness is being challenged by, I think, plaintiffs here in Texas even. But yeah.
So
well, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like how widely spread of an idea is this? Because I've heard this all over the place, but I'm kind of like in the. I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty cool. But tuck your arms in, I guess. It doesn't make sense to me that like we all agree that these were predatory loans to children. Technically not, but children. Why can't we all just agree that, okay, you pay back the money that you borrowed. We will forgive the interest because the interest is not money that you took out. The interest is profit for those involved and for the government. We don't need to be funding these institutions or the government any more than we already are. But you took out that money. And you spent that money. But I also think that if you took out $30,000 and you've paid back $40,000, that you shouldn't owe $50,000. I don't know. I'm like, what is the disconnect there? Who has an issue with that? Is it just more entitled kids? Like, no, I want it all for free. I don't get it. Like, come on. We've got to figure things out.
I guess what I would say in response to that is I think when we elect someone to be a president, they're the leader of this whole country. And they have a massive bully pulpit. And they can use their voice, their office, their influence with Congress members, all of their contacts to push for better legislation. Right now, I haven't seen a proposal from him to address anything that has to do with the colleges themselves. He's only talking about it from a loan perspective. So let's say that the Republican challenge to his student loan crisis gets thrown out in court and the $10,000 or $20,000 gets forgiven. In 2 years, we'll still have the exact same amount of debt that we had if that happens, because he's not doing anything to address the underlying increasing cost of college for students. So he's only solving a little part of a problem, and everyone feels great about it. But in 2 years, we're going to have the exact same
exactly.
So I understand the frustration of it not being a permanent solution. So here's what I would say:
No. It's not that it's not just that it is not a permanent solution. No, it's not a permanent solution. But also, it is not a fair and ethical solution. So even if it was long-term, it still wouldn't be ethical.
Biden had a 10 or 15 vote lead in the Senate. Do you think the legislative agenda would look a lot different?
Yes, but I also think it's on the president to inspire the country behind getting that kind of congressional mandate. And I don't think Joe Biden is a president that can't do that. So it is on him, I think, in some aspects, that he's not able to get these mandates.
So I would partially agree. The only issue is I think you have to be very careful. People always talk about the bully pulpit and that the president can force people in one way or another. And the president can, but that can backfire as well. And if the president starts leaning really hard into all of these districts that might be at risk for the next election, and we end up losing seats over like student loan forgiveness, I think that wouldn't be the way to go. I think so far legislatively, I think Biden has been more successful than honestly anybody thought he ever would be, especially 2 years into his administration. I don't know if he's got that much wiggle room where we barely have the Senate, where the House is at risk to start taking very powerful and strong positions on relatively controversial topics that are helping no offense, but a group of Americans that barely even vote, right? We're talking about student loan forgiveness. So on the student loan forgiveness, I think it's amazing that he's even floating the idea of that 10 or 20,000 of forgiveness. I think it's actually you can apply for it as of either today or yesterday. I don't know how the challenges going through to the Supreme Court will work, but it's cool that he did what he could. Maybe he could force Congress on some things more, but I think you need more comfortable margins to do that. Like, if you really want to be a bully, not like I'm going to bully you on this, and then people like
Bully
Max Anderson are like,
pulpit,
oh, okay, well, you want to bully me? I'm going to go ahead and not do that then and get reelected, and you're going to lose your majority. And I was like, okay, well, fuck, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
So I think there's something else here is that Joe Biden has the opportunity to. Okay, so Joe Biden canceling the student debt.
All right, so we can, obviously the first guy here was the most interesting. These guys are I mean, this is an interesting conversation, but it's kind of just flat. So I'm gonna put up a poll. We can either continue with this video. We've gotten to a chapter where I don't know if you can see here. It does say, oh, hold on. It does say trans sports debate. So that does look like where we're going. However, if you prefer, we can switch over to another IRL change my mind segment that that Destiny did and about has wokeness gone too far. So I am going to put that poll up and please answer it. Should we stay or should we stay on this video? So I'm going by whatever you guys say. JH said, I saw a headline. The Supreme Court is letting the forgiveness go through. No way. I can't afford you. All y'all fucking. I can't. That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
If he were to go further and start to make reforms to the actual college system in as many ways that he could, I'm not sure that that would be increasingly unpopular with Americans that don't like student debt. Think of it like this. Senator Rick Scott is a Republican from Florida. Once Joe Biden announced that he was going to be canceling this $10,000 and $20,000 debt cancellation, he came out with something called the College Act, which was going to target university endowments, limit the amount of administrators they were to add on each year, and puts a cap on like administrator to student population levels so that doesn't get out of control. And that's honestly where a lot of our money goes. And Joe Biden and the Democrats haven't given that any words, haven't even addressed it, and Speaker Pelosi won't take it to the floor. Joe Biden could pressure Speaker Pelosi to take it to the floor, and then he would be able to have a college solution that combines
We're 50-50. All right. So somebody give me an argument in the chat. Whatever you want. If you care, let me know. JH says, my wife will be cashing that $20K. And although I'm not a fan of the that $20K, and although I'm not a fan of the program, I mean, yeah, obviously, if they're gonna give you $20,000, then you definitely want to take that. But clearly, it's not a good thing for the government to be handing out $20K to everybody. I think you can very easily hold those two in tandem. So there's two of you here, and we're 50-50. So I'm gonna stick with this one. I think it does say trans sports debate, so I'm gonna hope it gets a little bit more into the trans stuff, like the first guy. Stick with me.
A Democratic.
We'll make it fun. I promise.
Policy,
but the issue is, do you really want to be
broadly popular and solve more of the issue? But
firstly, well, I don't know if it'd be broadly popular. First, we don't know the answer to that because it's going to depend on what the reform specifically look like. But then, secondly,
let's skip around a little bit.
Degrees has also like increased massively. Like one of the largest growing.
Check out what we got here. The fuck. All right. Let's see where we're at here.
I think the economy is like where people are centered at.
Hey, we got just a cog in the fuckery. Oof. Said, YouTube didn't even give me a notification on the live. Yeah, man, that is why I need y'all to be the notification. Take that URL and blast it everywhere so we can get that party rolling. But of course, I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Glad to see you, Just a Cog. I am very glad to see you. How are you doing? JH said, I saw the girl in the woke shit on his stream after this, and she is really naive and goes in circles. Okay, so I mean, I skipped a little bit ahead. They were talking that stuff. It is labeled trans sports debate. So let's stick with that. And then worst case scenario, we'll hop over. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. If you guys trust me, we gonna have a good time. Don't you worry.
I do agree that like a president should push on multiple things. The only thing that I would like to stress people, because they always compare him to like prior, they'll compare it to Biden to like prior administrations like JFK or whatever, and say like, oh well, look at everything he was able to do. Look at everything he was able to do. It's like, okay, these people had huge margins in Congress. I think that Biden has to play this incredibly carefully, like sitting at 50 votes in the Senate, where if he leans too hard on something, it's going to be like disastrous. Like I know people have been saying that he should bully pulpit more. You brought that up before.
That's fair.
And a lot of people said we need.
That's fair. I'll give him that. He's not in a position. He doesn't have a lot of leverage. So if he's going to start, demanding things, he's really. But on the other hand, he really is leaning into the woke fringe stuff. So he's saying if he does this, but that's what he's doing. That's literally what's happening.
Like Manchin, we need to send him out of here. And when you look at like the gains for support, I think Manchin he gained more support in his district than any other, I think, politician in the United States. Like 36 points of like increased approval in his district because of like how the people there like the way that he's representing them. So I think that I agree that it's nice for the president to push on policy issues, even if he can't like necessarily write legislation to pass it himself. But I think we have to be very careful and strategic in choosing which battles we fight. And right now, the inflation one is like what's on everybody's mind in this impending, looming recession. The president on his own is single-handedly to deal with inflation.
Okay, so I do think you're correct in that.
Number one, I will actually. I'll make one semi-concession to you. Arguably, the president could have contributed to inflation at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the trans stuff. Let's get to the juicy stuff. That's what I want to see.
It's something similar to this, right? So that's a unique ability presidents have, which I think is unique to good presidents, which Joe Biden has shown a clear lack in being able to accomplish.
I don't know if so there's the politics within OPEC, where sometimes even individual OPEC, like Saudi Arabia has fought with other OPEC countries in the past, where it's like,
let's see. Ride with me, guys. We finding the juice. We finding the
juice. What are we
juice.
interested in, though? Like, what are we pursuing?
So,
support all U.S. arms shipments. We should absolutely support.
Well, they getting boring. All right. I do have an option because JH is saying the other one wasn't that interesting. So we do have a third option.
Germany. Here. That's different than like I see that you've conquered some territory.
Come on, struggle streaming.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. I've always said that we should continue funding them, but they haven't had to rely on the use of nuclear weapons in order to start taking back their territory.
All right, we're taking a switch. We're taking a switch. We're switching it up.
Ideally, I would be an anarchist and like in ideals. I hate everything that the government has done so far.
What about Russia?
All right,
invading a NATO country.
Not now. I'm saying they need to build up the military.
They won't. Even with the military, because it'd be nuclear war. It'd be over.
No.
Yes, it would be.
No. Conventional warfare between two.
Let's get into it. Let's see what we got here. We'll go here for a little. We'll see what it is. Otherwise, we'll just open up the panel.
I am the treasurer for Aggies for Liberty on campus, and I am also a Libertarian Party candidate for Brazos County.
Hey, Libertarian LP, Mises Caucus, what's good?
Gotcha. All right. My name's Stephen. I think Joe Biden is doing a tremendous job in office.
Is he though?
So, when you say good, are you talking about relative to other presidents or in an absolute sense?
In an absolute
great question.
Sense in terms of like what are the decisions they could be making, and then I mean relative to other presidents, I guess I'd say too, but that's a harder one because obviously you have to deal with the situations or the behaviors that when you come to office. So.
All right. So I just would have to ask, like, what? Because I
have a lot of faith in this chick. I don't know what it is, but she's like, all right. She seems ready for this. So I think we're gonna get into it.
I know who you are, but I don't like actually watch it, so I couldn't articulate your positions. What exactly do you think it is that Joe Biden has done that is good? Like at least like a couple specific examples.
Sure. So I think that all of the decisions he's made, foreign policy-wise, in regards to Ukraine, I think have been almost perfect. I would say that legislatively, it's been pretty amazing that he was able to get the infrastructure bill passed. I think that the accomplishments he had under the coronavirus relief, I think was really good. The passing the expanded child tax credit and everything. And then like on a kind of overarching level, like his general like trying to work with both sides, not being like an extreme progressive and not trying to be like extremely far left. I think has been pretty positive.
If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. The MAGA Republicans are the worst thing that ever happened to America. Yeah, he's being pretty positive and not trying to be like the extreme far left.
Like cooling down the political discourse in the country.
Is he though?
Without constantly demonizing the other side. And then we can get more specific if you want on any of those topics.
Okay. I don't necessarily know that he is tried to cool anything down. I think he's just mostly not done anything, and that has done enough because the last couple presidents have been very bad at just ramping up tensions in the country.
He's already had. What do you mean not done anything? He's had some major legislative
No,
accomplishments.
no, I'm talking about from the sense of tensions.
Oh, okay.
Because I was focusing on that one first. But
I feel like when I speak about him like cooling things down, so I think that like the statements of like I'm not the president for the Democrats, I'm the president for all of the United States. I think his constantly trying to get like Republicans on board with legislation he's trying to pass, I think is better than just saying like we're going to do what we can with 50, we're going to do what we can through budget reconciliation, we're going to do what we can in the Senate with 51 votes, like et cetera, et cetera. I think trying to bring Republicans to the table to negotiate on stuff is something that I find admirable. But
I don't know of any real secessions that he's secessions that he's made.
Yeah, what is he talking about?
Republicans at all. Like,
well, the
from what I
infrastructure
see,
bill was voted on by there were like 16 like Senate Republicans that joined the Democrats on that bill. Pretty good.
yeah,
Pretty big infrastructure bill.
I hate all those Republicans.
Well,
Everything is
guys, you call them
infrastructure.
rhinos.
No, they're actual Republicans. I'm just a libertarian, like big L libertarian member
Okay.
of the Libertarian Party. They're all awful, both sides.
Okay.
But no, everything about that infrastructure bill was just awful.
Yep.
They're the way they increase.
There was so much. There was so much equity bullshit in that. That's where the meme that fill in the blank is infrastructure. Like vaping is infrastructure. Cell phones are infrastructure. Computers are infrastructure. Speaking in a different language is infrastructure. That's where that meme came from. Because that bill, I fully didn't read it personally, but from what was reported, there was so little to actually do with infrastructure and so much to do with giving money to these people and those people, and it was all woke bullshit. It was all woke bullshit.
The IRS was insane. The IRS,
What an awesome idea. How could you be against the increase the
it's
IRS?
the IRS. It's an awful system.
How could you be against expanding the IRS? That had to have been a joke. That doesn't look like a joking face right here. But you're talking to a libertarian. And you don't understand why she isn't in favor of expanding the IRS?
It's one of the only things that actually makes money in our government. We
He's serious.
need more IRS agents, of
By
course.
taxing citizens and taking money from them.
That's how government
Taking more money. Not just taking money, taking more money from citizens.
Yeah, you have to tax citizens to pay for the government.
They're never going to decrease taxes in any meaningful way ever.
Yep.
That's how the IRS's job is. The problem with the IRS,
Exactly. That's why we don't want it expanded. That's the point.
as it existed prior to that bill, was that there are billions of dollars out there that the IRS knows are out there, but they don't have the agents to go after it. I think
Poor
expanding
babies.
the IRS is one of the only like revenue positive things. When you throw more money at it, it makes more money for the government. I feel like of all the agencies we're talking about in the U.S. government, increasing money to the IRS is the most obvious one.
So here's my question: why didn't the Democrats, despite all of their rhetoric about not wanting to go after Americans under $400,000, reject the Crapo amendment?
What was that amendment?
The Crapo amendment said that any of the new funding going towards those 87,000 new IRS agents would be not used to go under Americans with an income of less than $400,000 a year. It was proposed by Republicans, named after one of them, Crapo, and it was voted down on party lines by Democrats over Republicans.
I would have to see the specific language of the bill, but I don't know why you would exclude Americans earning less than $400K
That
from
was-
the IRS.
That was the main talking point that Democrats used to try and get through public opinion.
So again, I'm getting vibes that like Destiny is really in the zone. He's in his comfort space when he's behind his computer, when he's by himself. And fair enough. I mean, I don't know that I would be as different, but I definitely have a level of protection that I'm just here in my own living room. But him in real life is not the same thing.
And they voted against it on their own practice. It was straight up just a lie across the board.
Yup.
I wish I knew the specific language of the bill. I know that.
I wish you did too, Destiny, because you sat down and started this conversation.
For instance, like when you are doing audits, I know that the Republicans required that people earning.
It's not going to be audits. It's not going to be audits. They're not going to audit people. They're just going to send you a letter. They're like, hey, you owe us an extra $3,000. They're just like, what? I mean, all right, it's the IRS, I guess. That's what they're going to do with all these new agents.
People qualifying for the EITC, and they have to be audited at a certain percentage. So like 5% of like EITC earners have to be audited, which is actually a huge waste of IRS resources. So I don't see the specific language of the bill, but I don't know why you would hire new IRS agents and then like give them their ability to go after certain types of income. Like I know that.
Again, no,
we get a lot of, like,
I would
Venmo
actually
tax
agree with you on that sense. It makes no sense to add the IRS agents and not do that. But at the same time, that
Then don't add the IRS agents. That's the easy answer.
was the primary rhetoric behind getting the bill's public support, was saying that they would not go after Americans under 400,000. So everything they said about getting support for that infrastructure bill was straight up a lie, and it's a provable lie.
I would have to see the exact statements made because I know a lot of statements get rung around in terms of like what people say they said and what was actually done. And I have to see the exact amendment, but I don't.
That's such a and it's not unfair, but it can be used very disingenuously. We're like, okay, maybe, but I haven't seen that. And so I don't believe you. And therefore that doesn't count in this. Like, that is an argument from what's called an argument from personal incredulity. The fact that you don't know something doesn't mean that the stuff that I know is not true. This often comes up when people talk, when I talk to people about like religion and talking about like evolution. And you're talking about, a man came from apes. Well, if the man came from apes, then why are there still apes? Like, the fact that you don't understand what the theory of evolution, the theory of natural selection, what that is, doesn't mean that I'm wrong. And there's still types of apes because we have a common ancestor.
The language of that bill, unfortunately, but
I mean, that's
same way your grandma's still alive.
But I mean, like, even regardless, if that was like the primary selling point, I would say, oh well, that's kind of dumb. Like that shouldn't be the primary selling point. But I'm still like policy wise, like in favor of expanding the IRS. That means being able to go after more tax revenue that's out there that they can't right now.
And again, one of my big issues on taxes is that people basically use government uses excuses constantly to put things temporarily in place to then permanently jack them up.
There is nothing more permanent than a temporary government solution.
So a good example of this would be income tax to begin with. It was started during World War I as a temporary.
Yo, this girl's on point.
For the richest people, it was only 2%. Now, every single person in the middle class has to deal with an insane amount of federal income tax, and this is a serious problem that the government has across the board. They continuously use specific crises to then jack up, to then jack up later federal laws that just never ever go away. I mean, the FDR's New Deal is a good example of this. A lot of those programs that were designed specifically for the Great Depression are still around today, despite not really providing the same benefit that they did then.
That might be the case, but I'm not here to argue in favor of like should permanent programs that that came about 100 years ago should or shouldn't be in place anymore. Like, if there's a specific program I'm going to talk about, I can talk about whether or not I defend or not defend that particular program. But like, I don't think we can get rid of income tax until the federal government function in the way that it does right now.
Well, no, that's why
we don't get rid of it. The point is, we have now built a system around there being income tax. And so, yeah, we can't get rid of it. That is the point. It's permanent now. That's the point she's making.
We should get rid of most of the federal government.
Yeah, but I don't know any.
We could start with the FBI, the ATF, and the Federal Reserve.
Yo, this chick's for real. This chick's for real, yo.
Federal crimes. With no FBI.
They're
cops.
I think
private security.
Honestly, in a real sense, it would be a better system to get rid of all the auxiliary investigatory agencies like the ATF, the DEA, and ICE, and then combine them into a simplified agency.
I was just gonna say that. It doesn't mean we have no federal oversight at all. We just want to minimize it. Why do we need the ATF and the FBI and the CIA and all of these different alphabet organizations? We don't. It's just more money being extracted from your pockets to pay for shit that we don't want, that ends up oppressing us. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Just give the government more money. They need money. They need money.
See, that covers everything and on a much more limited scale.
But well, I mean,
that would be the initial way to do it, because the current system of the FBI is horrible. The program,
horrible how? In what ways?
The FBI was initially designed to go after political dissidents.
Hey, don't care about initially. Libertarian arguments like, well, 100 years ago it was like this. That's
no,
the world's changed.
The problem is it hasn't changed. They still do this today.
What is the issue? Like, you feel like the FBI is a horrible or terrible organization. Like, what is the big change you want to see in the FBI?
I would like to see
gone.
All of the high level positions basically taken out. I would like them to be not a executive agency responsible to the president. I would like to see them be responsible probably to Congress directly.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Why Congress over the executive branch?
Because there's, oh my God, dude, you're not this stupid. There's more people, and there's a much higher influence from the populace on Congress than there is on somebody signing an executive order, as we've seen with I think it was Obama, if not Bush Jr., who was all about the executive orders. Fuck Congress. I'm just gonna sign shit into law.
Executive branch at any one time is controlled specifically by one party, whereas Congress is controlled usually by, at least in large parts, both parties.
So it's less. It's every single agency from the executive branch then, and then put it over to Congress.
No, I think the biggest issue specifically with the FBI is that it can be used under Trump's administration, under Biden's administration, under Obama's administration to target political dissidents. And in that sense, as long as it is controlled specifically by one person and one party, then that can be targeted at the other party regardless.
And it theoretically could be, but I mean, like theoretically, things could happen from like congressional committees as well, right? Like, I guess it feels strange because like the legislative branch of our government already has like so much power, like they overrule the president in several ways that starts stripping things to the executive.
I mean, they've outsourced most of their actual job to executive agencies.
I think that, well, I mean, most of those executive agencies will come from like some piece of legislation Congress that says like we're granting the president the authority to make an agent do this, and then they kind of figure out exactly how are they going to enforce the law.
Yeah, so it should not. It was never designed that the FDA would be the ones that make laws on how drugs and food is processed. That was supposed to be Congress's job. They then outsourced that to the FDA and said we're not going to touch it. Now you have a system that makes the laws through the FDA. The FDA then investigates any breaches in those laws, and they have their own courts to justify those fines.
Yo, are y'all paying attention to this? She is going off. She is going off and putting this motherfucker in his place. Oh, man. Go back to your computer where you have thousands of people just standing for you. You just posted up at a college, and you can't even take some random chick.
So I think every executive agency has their own. There's a name for it, like
their own courts. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and they've got their own like it's a separate investigatory body for every federal agency. I should remember what these are called. I don't remember off the top of my head. But those are supposed to run independently. Like anytime you hear a story where it's like whistleblowers figured out this, it's because of the office of whatever that's serving as the counterpart to that federal agency. If there's a big problem like the FDA, just because it exists under the executive doesn't mean we can't change it in Congress. Like we can pass laws congressionally to change how the president is enacting certain things executively. So it seems like if there was a huge issue we had with the FDA, whether it was ran by Congress or the president, like the change would happen because we hated it so much. In Congress, it would change. We'd be passing legislation already in Congress to change how the executive carries it out. No?
In theory, yes. However, I think while I think it's a good thing that Congress has needs extensive debates to really do anything productive, and it intentionally slows them down. I think
the wheels of government should absolutely turn slowly, and that's not what we've seen. That's not what we've seen in the last 2-3 administrations. That everything's fucking moving. Everybody's trying to be so progressive. That all these new things are coming around, and specifically the way the founding fathers set up the government was to make sure that these ideological things didn't come in and just steamroll everything else. But they found a way around it. Another fucking all of us. Come on.
The way that presidents have recently been using executive orders, and this includes pretty much every single the president has found a lot of ways to sort of get around certain things. A number of executive agencies have been, or executive orders have just been awful and borderline unconstitutional. Honestly.
Sure, but well, we say borderline unconstitutional, but I mean the Supreme Court's there to check any challenges that come through. It feels like your problem is less with the organization of the government, that these executive agencies exist at the behest of the president, and your issue is more like these agencies ever exist at all. Like I have a feeling that
Yep.
the FDA and the FBI
Yes.
under Congress, you'd still be like, well, we still need to
Correct.
because they don't like the FDA. And
Correct.
The FBI, right?
Well, yes, but I have an entire rant about drug laws and why the FDA.
Let's hear it.
Sure, but I mean, it'd be just awful.
But
Congress, right?
what I'm saying is, I think it would be less bad. And I'm not here. I am not here. Like, ideally, I would be an anarchist and like in ideals. I hate everything that the government has done so far. But I also recognize in practicality that's just never going to happen, and it wouldn't just work for the vast majority of people. So I'm willing to stand here and say that we should not make perfection the enemy of progress. And I think that while I would like to just abolish the FDA outright, it would be better to put a lot of these executive agencies more directly under the legislative authority as opposed to the executive. That's
a beautiful explanation of what I think the Libertarian Party is there to do. The ideals that the Libertarian Party is there to espouse. It is, anarcho-capitalism is not a thing that we're going to see in our lifetime. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to move towards that ideal. Just because you're an idealist doesn't mean you're not a realist. You can understand the difference between the ideal and the practical application of those ideals and those values. But Republicans and Democrats, they don't work like that. Just like, oh, we're right. Do what we say. Just listen to us. Trust us.
Gotcha, I understand. Yeah, I don't really think it would change any of the problems because we already have the ability for the legislative to vote on different things for those executive bodies to do. But I guess backing out. So what does it do with Joe Biden? Sounds like you say the government.
Partially, yes. But no, actually, I think my biggest issue with Joe Biden is his foreign policy. I have always been a big stickler.
Ooh, because that was something that Destiny mentioned twice, that he loves what Biden's been doing overseas.
Foreign policy, and it's one of, in my opinion, the most important jobs of the president.
And honestly, again, coming from a libertarian perspective, that all foreign wars are inherently bad because they're not our fights to fight. I'm curious to see where Destiny's going to go with this.
Less so approving what Congress passes, less so the executive orders. His primary job should be to be America's face to the world and to run the military and our foreign policy effectively.
Okay.
And I don't see situations in which Joe Biden has done that effectively. I think he royally fucked
Nobody's going to hit the poll?
up the pullout in Iran.
In Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, yes. And
How? Why do you say that?
he actually pushed back Donald Trump's date to pull out by 3 months. The reason that we did it at the beginning of summer is because terrorist activities go down in that area during the summer because it's hotter, and so there's less activities in general. And he wanted the specific date of 9/11 to be the day that pulls out for whatever reason, most likely just because it looks really nice on paper. The problem is that when he does pull out, he doesn't do any of the proper planning. He doesn't actually take any effort to inform the government that this is happening. We leave a number of our allies behind in the area without any warning whatsoever. Immediately, our military bases get overrun, and a large number of our heavy machinery and heavy weaponry ends up in the hands of the people who immediately put a coup in Afghanistan.
So I understand some of the complaints about the Afghanistan pullout. I think it was done as well as it could have been. I know that there are a lot of people who get really triggered by it, but I think the issue is that we've already been in Afghanistan for over.
Oh no, I'm with you that we should never have been there.
Like, and people talk about like we could have prepared the government better. How? We dumped tens of billions. Was it $1 trillion in Afghanistan? It was a huge number.
It was,
money
yeah, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, not go there in the first place. We got we got Bin Laden in like 2014 or something. What was the next 9 years there for?
Yeah, I don't think that another year would have helped. I don't think another 6 months would have helped. I don't think that like
No, but
I don't think
exactly.
at that point I don't think there was anything else.
But we should never have had our allies waking up the day of trying to figure out what the hell is going on because we're just leaving.
I mean, all these timelines are already on the table that we were going to be heading out. Like maybe people just didn't believe it because, like, well, no, America will stay here forever. But I think at some point, I mean, like, I think we have to leave the country. We can't be there for
You
some
had
time.
Biden on television saying this will not be like our exit of Vietnam, and literally we were helicoptering people off of the embassies exactly like he said we would not be doing.
Sure,
He did
I mean,
not. He did not properly
people-
plan what he was pulling out.
There were a few people that
Thank you for. The only whatever. I mean, it's sad that just some. And I mean, this is not anything against this woman. She's doing a phenomenal job here. But somebody who is such a thought leader in the on the left and for the progressives, for it to be so easy for him to be just taken down, it's like you know, what are we doing? Yeah, it seems like everybody's with you. So I guess we'll go a little longer and then we'll hop over to Discord. I don't want to just jump off, but you know, it's a Friday. I think maybe we need to change it up and do some more fun, silly stuff. What if we switch over to watching the most recent videos from It's Complicated, the street talking videos, the guys like, why do women do this or why do men do this? If you want that, then we could switch over to that. Or if you just prefer that we just watch this a little longer and then head over to the panel. I just want to hang out with you guys. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm happy to do it.
were helicoptered from embassies. But at the end of
Let
the
me
day,
know.
I believe no Americans died.
Yeah.
But
So like, I mean, like, it
but
seems
Americans
like,
are not the only people that would matter here. We had allies in that nation that did.
yeah, but then what was the alternative? Like, do you because do we start giving warnings ahead of time? So like, you guys all need to leave the country, and then you cripple the ANI even more, and then it's like,
You should. What you should have done is slowly pulled out over time, taken.
That's what she said.
And slowly decreasing the amount of power over time while making sure that they're filling that power vacuum instead of just removing the power vacuum entirely.
well, but I don't think the ANI had everything they needed. Like that, I don't think that there was ever going to be a drawdown that made them able to sustain against like the Taliban. Even if we would have left with a third, a half, or whatever. And I think the scary part there, from Biden's point of view, and I think it's easy to look at it retroactively. This is what I look at, I guess, when I try to figure out what's good or not. We got everybody out. There were some deaths that sucked, but for the most part, relatively
We actually did not get everybody out.
we've gotten almost every American out. There's like
No,
a
this
few-
the CIA
Almost.
intentionally said that there were over 200 Americans left in Iraq.
Initially there was, but I'm pretty sure at this point, because I checked this like 6 months ago, I think every American that wanted to leave is out of Afghanistan.
I also just
But-
would not take what they say at face value.
Okay, we can take that, but then at the end of the day, we just go by gut. But I think that the problem is that like the thing is, we got everybody out and we're gone and we're done. But if we would have done these other strategies, like, retrospectively, you look at it and go like, oh well, he could have done this. If we would have like drawn down troops, less people there, still done it. Like let's say 6 months from now, we still have a few people there. The force is way smaller. Something happens.
All right, so we got one person who's down to switch over to the it's complicated. If I get one more person doing that, then we'll do it. Let's do it.
The Taliban attacks.
Let me
And
know.
now, and now,
Put the
and now,
poll
like,
up.
20 Americans are killed. Now we're in the United States. Like, oh my God, we need to go back. We need to get revenge. Now there's another troop surge. Now you're there for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like, why
Well,
risk it?
we should have done the pullout at the beginning of summer. Like that is just like it would have been better to do it then. I don't know why it was pushed back 3 months in the excuse of planning to then not improve the plan at all.
I guess it's just a matter of like how well could it have ever gone. I don't think there's ever us leaving Afghanistan 100% and it looking like super nice in all ways. Like it's always going to be like pretty shitty because like that government was never going to be able to stand on its own against the Taliban getting support from some of the other people in the region.
I mean, to an extent, yes. I unfortunately, I do agree with you in the fact that there's no way this could have ever gone well in that sense because once you're there, it's already a problem.
And I understand that there are lives
yeah.
of such Americans that are worth considering, of course. But from a foreign policy point of view, when Americans start dying, we start turning our eyes, towards other countries. Like
All right.
if they would've done another attack,
All
we would've
right.
stayed a little bit longer,
Well,
maybe 30 Americans.
hold on.
Jesus, like,
Well, I
we're not
mean,
leaving after that.
After getting a girl's number, how long is too long to wait and how soon is too soon to call?
Let's try that again. All right. Now, I switched up my whole shit for y'all. So I need to hear you in the comments. I need to see you in the chat. Or I'm going to cry. I'm going to be very upset. So let's do it.
After getting a girl's number, how long is too long to wait and how soon is too soon to call?
Personally, I think that's completely up to you and how you feel that conversation went.
Do you prefer that they text or call when they first contact you?
Text.
Oh, okay. I didn't know she was going to answer that fast. Because that's I feel like that's one that is different for everybody. I think more now people would prefer text because a call is just more intimate. Like you have to spend time actually speaking to that person. But that wasn't always the case. And so you'd match with somebody and then it would be like, okay, well, I text you or I hit you up on Snapchat or I hit you on Instagram. Like some people don't want to give out their phone number at first. So it's like, oh, what's your Snapchat? Like, oh, you want to hit me up on Snapchat? That's weird. Like, okay, all right. Well, then what's your Instagram? Like, oh, you want to like, I don't know.
Please don't call me right
Just a cog. What do you think about that? Call or text?
away. I won't answer
Why is that?
because it's just too much pressure. Just text me.
Do you prefer that they text or call when they first contact you?
Text. I think a call is kind of creepy.
Have you ever been ghosted before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever ghosted somebody before, and if so, why?
Yes. They were too persistent. Yeah. Lose interest.
Why do some
So don't fucking simp. She's into it or she's not into it. That's an Eskimo joke.
people flake rather than let someone know they're not interested?
They feel bad. Yeah.
Well, isn't it worse to lead somebody on?
Yes. Yes, it is. I think you feel bad in the moment. You feel guilty and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So you're just like, eh.
Why do some women give out and even offer up their number, but then ghost you when you contact them?
I don't know. I do it all the time. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe like they kind of like had good intentions and they kind of wanted to talk to you, but you just weren't like that interesting. Maybe I don't know why I do it. So
So just a cog is different. She says she prefers calls, but text is a good opener. So you see how, just got to feel things out first. But you see, we were just talking the other night about how a guy doesn't know what your preference is. And so a text is safer from the guy's side. But if she's like, oh, you're just going to text me? Like you don't know. You don't know. But certainly going to text more often. I'm already a text kind of guy. I can write better than I can speak, and I can speak, baby. But I can definitely write better than I speak. So text works.
I don't know.
Have you ever been ghosted before?
I don't think so.
Why do some
Of course. To the luxury of having to think about, has this ever happened to me? When for most guys, it literally doesn't end any other way. Ever.
Women give out and even offer their phone number, but then ghost you when you contact them.
They like the attention.
The male attention. That is a currency. She said she was lying.
Should a man know if a girl genuinely likes him or if she just wants attention?
Ask.
Is she showing?
Ask? What you mean ask? What you mean ask? Like, yeah, she's gonna lie. Are you really into me or do you just like the attention? No, I just like the attention. She's not gonna say that.
Interested in things that you're interested in, asking you questions about yourself, or is she just talking about herself and waiting for you to ask more questions about her?
Do you gauge a man's level of interest whether he asks for your Instagram versus your phone number?
Yes.
Why?
Quality over quantity. I think that's kind of like
What? Quantity what over quality what? What does that mean?
slutty to ask for your Instagram and not your phone number.
See? This is some women are not comfortable with giving out their number, so they would prefer that you hit them up on social media. And then she's saying the exact opposite.
Maybe.
Really? Okay.
A little bit.
What if he asked for your OnlyFans? Would that be sluttier?
It's definitely sluttier.
Okay. Have you ever ghosted somebody, and if so, why?
Maybe one time. No, she's gonna be like, yeah, all the time.
Yes, because I wasn't interested, and then he kept texting me, and I felt bad, so I told him I wasn't interested anymore.
And that's honestly, that's fair. That's fair. I didn't. And just Chicago, we were just talking about this the other day on the panel that like some dudes really do be that bad and make it worse for all of us. On the women's side, they make them feel uncomfortable, and on the men's side, now we have to be associated with this creepy ass dude. The fuck is that?
How should a man know if a woman is playing hard to
What is that?
get or if she's just not interested?
I'm gonna when was this really? I'm gonna one day go, I'm gonna give people the benefit of the doubt and say that this was on Halloween. We haven't seen anyone else in a costume, right? I don't think we saw anyone else in a costume. But clearly this is a poison ivy thing, so just caught me off guard a little bit.
She doesn't text you, she doesn't call you.
Oh my god. Okay, I just needed a second. Hold up.
How should a man know if a woman is playing hard to get or if she's just not interested?
She doesn't text you, she doesn't call you. She does not return your call. She's not texting you, dude.
Man, that's the one.
I feel like I have to say something, but I genuinely do not know what to say about that.
I think men don't understand is when a woman's not interested, they don't get that point. They don't see it. They just continue to do it. So if a woman is short answered, you can just tell by the answer she gives you, yeah, yes, okay, sure, you know she's not interested. If she gives you in-depth questions and answers with detail and information, then she's interested in you.
Mm-hmm. So Play says, this is why I am or I'm not. This is why I'm dating in America. No matter what you do, you're either a simp or a pervert. Unless she's attracted to you. I was just watching the App and Preach video from today, or maybe it was last night, and they were watching one of the videos from The Cut with the button. If you're familiar with App and Preach videos, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a dating show where you talk for a little bit, and then a button lights up, and if you hit the button, then another you get it's like Next, MTV's Next. I don't know if you guys are old enough for that, anyway. But point being, there was a woman sitting there, and then the first guy that was there said that this was his first date, and he was kind of chubby, glasses, not really like whatever. A couple other dudes, she buzzed them all, and then another dude is 5 years younger than her, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're so pretty. I gotta stop looking at you. You're so pretty. But he was a good-looking dude, so she's like, "Oh my god, that's so cute. Oh my god." So it's not either a simp or a pervert. It's either you're good looking or you're not. It doesn't matter what you do. It's either you're good looking to her, and no matter what you do, she's gonna find it cute, or you're not good looking to her, and no matter what you do, you're gonna be a simp or a pervert.
We gotta know you before we hang out with you. We can't just. It's hard for women.
So what? Okay. Are these costumes? Like what are we doing here? This doesn't look like a costume, and this doesn't look like a costume, but the hair looks costume-esque. The glasses look costume-esque. The hairdo looks costume-esque. Like, what is going on?
A lot of men are creeps, weirdos, want you just for one reason. Like, you got to be protected for a woman. Like,
But how are you gonna get?
And that's fair. But I think dude's about to ask the right question. How are you going
Know somebody
to
if you don't communicate with them?
we can text. You said
the caption says we can take. I think she said we can text.
for a woman. Like,
But how are you gonna get to know somebody if you don't communicate with them?
we can text. You said texting,
She got braces too. Jesus fucking Christ.
right? You said
Well, right, but aren't you gonna get a better communication if you actually talk to them instead of text?
maybe one date. Maybe one date.
If women are
It's just she's like, we could do this. Okay, what about this? Now I take back that back, and now I think this. Okay, what about that? Now I take that back, and now I think this. It's so transient. The stream of consciousness that the average modern woman has. Why? Because nobody has ever done this. Nobody has ever held them to account on what they think. In the same way that some of the guys that were talking to Destiny earlier, in the same way that, like, yeah, they have their opinions. They probably listen to this video, that video, whatever. But they've never had to actually flesh out their ideas. That is what we're seeing here. Justin Cox says, I can't entirely agree with that. I've met plenty of attractive guys with a personality of a potato and nerdy guys with charisma. Sure, yeah, you definitely can affect how you are perceived. But if the nerdy guys had the exact same personality as those attractive guys that you're talking about, and you had to choose, you'd go with the attractive guy.
always talking about needing vibes in order to have a connection, why would any of them want to know somebody through a device?
That's a good question because you know what? On social media, you can like portray a certain vibe, and it's actually not your energy at all.
That's the basis of the show, Catfish.
Want to get a vibration from someone, you need to be in their area. You need to feel them. You need to see them. You need to see how they react, their gestures. Like I might say yeah, but in my
that's what you can tell that this dude, he looks a little bit taller. He's a little bit bigger, but he has a little bit of air to him. He has a little bit of a presence to him. But so that tells me that he doesn't have issues with getting women to sleep with him, but he's also not very interested in he looks younger. I would guess he's not as interested in like a long-term thing at this point in his life. And so he's just like, yeah, I'll go with whatever. Well, but just Cox said I go with the less creepy one. But that's what I'm saying. They're equally as creepy, but one's more attractive. You're gonna tell me there's two creeps and you got to go with one of them, and you're gonna take the less attractive creep? Come on! You ain't gonna do that.
in real life, I might say yeah with a big giant smile on my face, do something else, which makes me different from other people instead of saying yeah.
I'm not like other guys. I really care about you. Bite up!
If women are always talking about needing vibes in order to have a connection, why would any of them want to get to know somebody through a device?
Because people are busy.
Are you too busy to find love, or do you make time for what's important?
Both.
This is my truth, where these two things can be true at the same time. It's an either or. Both was not an option.
Because people are busy.
Are you too busy to find love, or do you make time for what's important?
Both.
Other than work, is being busy an acceptable excuse for blowing somebody off?
No.
Other than work, is being busy an acceptable excuse for blowing somebody off?
She's going to say yes.
If you're
I just don't want to. Like, I don't want to be around y'all. Yeah, Jessica Cox says attractive guys are more likely to be egotistical a-holes. I think that is a very in a very specific context in dealing with women. That being attractive allows you, in the same way it allows women, because of their ability to garner sex if they want, that allows you that it gives you leverage. And so you can be more egotistical as a woman in general. And then if you're an attractive man, when there's, less attractive men, then yes, that may be the case. But at the end of the day, if he gives you the tingles, even if he's a little, you're still gonna go with him.
You're not interested.
Maybe not you, just a cog. But I'm just talking women in general. The modern women, of course, not everyone. We know you're a special one.
Then,
if your celebrity crush came to town and wanted to see you, wouldn't you cancel some shit?
yeah. John Cena, Justin Bieber. I'm in Las Vegas.
Wait a minute. How old are you? Where John Cena and Justin Bieber are both options for you?
Please.
If your celebrity crush came to town and wanted to see you, wouldn't you make time to see him?
Oh, most definitely.
So then isn't it true?
Celebrity. It's different.
It's different because he's got status.
If you really like somebody, you're gonna make time to see them. Like, if you don't, then you're gonna obviously like, oh yeah, we could do that another day.
So would you say that women make rules for the wrong guy and break rules for the right guy?
You could already see the smile on her face. She's like, shit. He's right.
Yes.
Does persistence pay off or does it become annoying?
Persistence. Shout out to my boy Nick, who is on a fishing trip. So even though he's usually not on a fishing trip, it never comes through. But shout out to Nick. Actually, fuck that. Nick got it from Akon. So shout out to Akon. Well, family's thicker than blood. Persistence beats resistance.
I think 2 to 3 times nudging, and anything more, you're being annoying.
How should a man know if a woman is playing hard to get or if she's just not interested?
You don't.
Playing hard to get, she'll still respond, but she won't make the bold first move.
What?
I don't know about all that. But I will tell you that the girl that I was with for 3 years in college, maybe not the best choice, but way more than 3 times did I nudge her. Way more did I try to be like, hey, I'm into you. Let's do this. And I mean, yeah, after 3 years, shit happens when you're fucking 20 years old, but we're together for 3 years.
Why do some people flake rather than let someone know they're not interested?
They either don't care enough to be honest, or
Truth.
Maybe, yeah, that.
Because we're trying to be polite, and I don't know. It's weird, right? I just gave the wrong number.
But isn't it more polite to just tell someone you're not interested?
She just said, I give the wrong number. I don't even want to have to deal with that shit.
Waste of time, leave them on?
Yeah.
Why do some people flake rather than let someone know they're not interested?
Fear of confrontation.
Is it possible to have confrontation without hostility?
Yes, yeah, 100%. You can have an argument with someone that's an educated argument where you give both your point of views without hostility or violence, yeah.
That's exactly what we want to foster here on this channel, is heated disagreements. We want to talk to people who think as far away from what we think as possible, and sit down with them, talk to them, and see where the disconnect is, and see what common ground we have. Because if we've got common ground, then those disagreements become way less important, right?
You in a relationship, there's a healthy way to communicate. You want to confront somebody, there's a way to talk to people. You got to come with love, not with hate.
Is it possible to have confrontation without hostility?
Yes.
I've spoken to many women who say they avoid confrontation. Isn't confrontation part of communication?
It is.
Yes. Yes. Confrontation is part of communication.
So then wouldn't that mean that a lot of women just avoid communication because they're afraid of confrontation?
I think some women are afraid of confrontation. I'll admit that. Like,
not me though. Like, I'm perfect. I'll always communicate with you perfectly.
Like, they do avoid communication, but I feel like it's also, you have to come at it at the right way.
You need to be ready to confirm something, because if you're not ready and you're going to confirm that shit, you're not going to be able to
confirm something. What the fuck are you talking about?
Eat for a couple days. You're going to be sick.
To some people, confrontation is an argument, and to some people, confrontation is conflicting opinions, and they're talking about it. So it's person-to-person basis.
Was there anything in your life you had to confront that you didn't want to, and if so, what was it?
I had to confront the fact that sometimes you need to learn to view your ego and set it aside.
I can disagree. I can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican. We can disagree on certain things, but we can still be friends if you guys are adults. You know what I mean? You guys are adults and you understand it's just different opinions, not something to take serious and personal.
Who is better at communication, men or women?
Women.
I think women are absolutely better at manipulating words to get a message across. But as we've seen from so many different types of videos from so many different channels, that men in general are way better because they have to be. They don't get away with, well, it's just my truth. And this is like it's my truth. You can't get away with that as a man. So you either look like a moron or you have to actually think your positions through. So I think it's a good question because it really depends on how you interpret it. But I would say men are way better at communication.
Women are better at communication.
Women, yeah, for sure. Men don't give too much details, and women like to go into very much detail. So I
We don't need detail because we are more concise.
feel like women get better detail.
If men are worse at communication, why do so many women expect men to read their body language rather than just be direct?
Women expect a lot of things from men that men aren't capable of doing.
Facts.
I mean, if your girl is like, say she's in a bad mood and like how.
You should be able to tell.
Right, you should be able to tell that she's in a.
You should just be able to read her mind. Even though I'm way better at communication, you should be better than me at communication.
Bad mood. You shouldn't be all like trying to fuck with her and shit.
We don't know how to communicate sometimes, you know. We say, yeah, I'm fine, but that means like, you know.
So then how are women better at communication?
Because men don't communicate. So
Women, for sure.
If men are worse at communication, why do so many women expect men to read their body language rather than just be direct?
Oh my God. I don't know.
Are men expected to be
Guys, Morty's throwing up.
mind readers?
Yes.
Is there a difference
Okay,
between what women
Bubba.
say that they want in a relationship and what they actually respond to?
Absolutely.
If so, how are women better at communication?
We're not.
But you just said that they were.
I lied. Clearly, I'm not communicating well. Duh.
Exactly. Let's go to that one more time because I was making sure the dog didn't die, but caught in a lie.
Difference between what women say that they want in a relationship and what they actually respond to?
Absolutely.
If so, how are women better at communication?
We're not.
But you just said that they were.
I lied. Clearly, I'm not communicating well. Duh.
Some women don't
At least she's honest.
know what they actually want and they have an opinion.
Some women, just some of them don't know what they want.
Based off of the broad general media. And so that's what they think they want, but then when it's given to them, they don't receive it because it's not what their heart actually wants.
Is there a difference between what women say that they want in a relationship and what they actually respond to?
Yeah. We have so many emotions.
So then how are women better at communication?
Because we're here.
That's communication. How are women better at communication? Because you're here.
We have that third fucking eye that you don't have. So you're supposed to be
Don't we though?
able to read our whole intuition, everything, our body movement, everything. If you can't connect with me like here, right here.
So if there was one
What?
thing that you wish men understood better about women, what would that be?
Communication.
And if there was one thing you wish women understood better about men, what would that be?
Communication.
If communication is so important, why do so many people prefer texting over talking, socializing in places where it's too loud to have a conversation, don't engage with their environment, and don't give their undivided attention?
Because people are afraid, I think, to be judged. So if there's a lot of things going around them, the person's not fully concentrated on them and what they're saying, but, kind of listening to the music in the background, listening to the other conversations. So I feel like texting and social media like that, like the media and internet kind of got rid of what it is to be kind of human and just walking to your friend's house and seeing if they're home. Instead, now you can just text them, hey, are you home? And they don't reply, they're not home. It's just...
Or they don't reply because they don't want you over.
It's harder now, like especially now that we have so much information available to us. Everyone became lazier because they can just pull their phone out at home and do whatever they need to instead of going out and doing the research for themselves. Like,
would you prefer somebody text LOL or actually hear their laughter?
Hear their laughter. I don't even use LOL. Yeah.
Because people don't like.
I'm interested to see where the rest of those answers are because I think most people would obviously rather hear laughter over just seeing LOL on a screen. But I'm curious where he's going with that. So I use LOL all the time. I mean, so does Jessica Cock. LOL, man. I actually have a friend zone rejection story from yesterday. This is all bringing back to mind. Oh, I can't wait to hear it in the panel. I cannot wait to hear it in Discord. I cannot wait.
Addressing the situation up front. They rather be behind the screen. They really just rather be behind the screen than talking up front, because you can text something and then if it sounds bad.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. Did I miss the question? How is she? I'm sorry. I need to back this up a second. Because thought
people don't
LOL or actually hear their laughter.
Yeah, we're talking about LOL versus laughter. And she's already on some bullshit that men are doing
Hear
something
their
wrong.
laughter. I don't even use LOL. Yeah.
Okay. So LOL versus laughter.
Because people don't like addressing the situation up front. They rather be behind the screen. They really just rather be behind the screen than talking up front, because you can text something and then if it sounds bad, you can delete it and take it back. You can't take shit back.
Can you though? Is that an iPhone thing? Because I'm pretty sure once you send a text, it's out there. So I don't know what kind of phone you have, but that's not how my phone works. Once the text is out there, it's out there.
Back when you say it in person, that shit's sticking with you forever.
Social media really changed the world. Some people come from a small neighborhood. They don't really have people around them. They don't have friends. So they don't know how to communicate verbally with words and sounds. So they have to communicate the words through text because it's easier. They can really say what they want to say with no, I guess they feel like there's no comeback from that. Like you really can't do nothing. They just use a text. It's a text. You from away. But if you talk to somebody personally, there's a lot of different things, facial reactions. You really got to put up with what you say. You got to mean what you say what you mean.
So we really want to say that based on this video alone, we're talking about who is better at communication. That guy was good at communicating what he wanted to communicate. Well, let's go back and compare that to what this girl's about to say. Let's see. Where did he start? He went on for a minute, spitting bars.
From a small neighborhood, they don't really have people around them. They don't have friends. So they don't know how to communicate verbally with words and sounds. So they have to communicate the words through text because it's easier. They can really say what they want to say with no, I guess they feel like there's no comeback from that. Like you really can't do nothing. They just use a text. It's a text. You from away. But if you talk to somebody personally, there's a lot of different things, facial reactions. You really got to put up with what you say. You got to mean what you say what you mean.
All right. So now let's see if our girl can even match that level of being concise and delivering a message with some level of articulation.
When having a first kiss, what is more special to you? If it happens spontaneously in the heat of the moment or if the guy asks permission?
Ooh, definitely got to be heat in the moment. But then, of course, that goes to consent.
Spontaneous. Spontaneous. I would say the heat of the moment.
Okay. What does that say about consent?
I think that there are signals that makes you be like, okay, she's okay with having a first kiss. Like,
Oh, so now we're back to mind reading. Okay.
you don't have to ask because it gets very uncomfortable, I think.
I think that you know in the moment it's not about.
Do you though?
Consent. It's because it's the feeling of the situation, and yeah.
So again, I am supposed to know what your feelings are. Trust me, I'm already giving consent. That's not the part that's the issue. It's the fact that you are expecting men, not just a man, to read your mind. Every man should know what you think and when you're thinking it, and how, it's ridiculous. Hey, we got Tyler Smith in the building. What's up, brother? So she's kind of hot, but the neck tat drops her down a peg. I'm kind of with it. I would, yeah, I'm with it. I am not mad at that at all.
Special to you. If it happens spontaneously in the heat of the moment or if the guy asks permission?
Spontaneous.
It's spontaneous and happens in the moment.
What does that say about consent?
I know it's a tricky. I know it isn't my case. I know it's tricky, but
so like when I want it, I don't need to give you informed consent. But if I don't want it, then I need you to ask for consent so that I can reject you. But you're not gonna know. So, but if you ask, then you make it less exciting. And now I don't. What are the rules? What are the rules? I agree.
I mean, if he approaches, you can stop him and say no.
Are men expected to be mind readers?
Yup.
No, but I think you can read body language very good.
I prefer no consent because then I just get shy. I don't know. I'd rather them just do it. But consent means respect.
Have you ever wanted a guy to make a move but he wasn't getting your signals?
Yes.
So then stop. What does that tell you? What is the logical conclusion? Hey, I want this to happen, so I'm sending signals. But he's not getting my signals. So I'm just going to send more signals. And then blame him for being gay or having a small dick.
So what makes you think the opposite isn't true? If you want a guy to make a move but he isn't getting your signals, why would a guy get your signals if you don't want him to make a move?
Why would a guy get my signals if he don't want to move? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I guess he wasn't feeling self-conscious or confident about himself.
Because sometimes guys are not all the way there physically or mentally.
I say that
What? Okay.
a man can approach
Go for
and you
it,
can.
and if you just read them, try to go for the
Look at this dude. He's just like, what is this bitch talking about?
kiss.
Wait.
And then if they like, that was
Beta! You're gonna stop her talking shit about all men to kiss her on camera. Being a 2. Weird flex, but okay.
But my question is,
That's not my
question is, why would women expect men to read their body language if they also think that men are not good at picking up on body language?
No. You didn't say body language. You said communication. Communication is verbal.
Is body language not part of communication?
Yeah, but nobody is talking to you. Nobody is talking to you.
Because body language.
I guarantee you that she was talking to the same dude that just kissed her. Look at where he went off screen.
No.
Would women expect?
That was try to go for the.
Wait.
All right, so look where he goes off camera, and I guarantee you, he just said something. Oh, he's got you there, or something like that.
And then if they like,
my question is, why would women expect men to read their body language if they also think that men are not good at picking up on body language?
No. You didn't say body language. You said communication. Communication is verbal.
Is body language not part of communication?
Yeah, but nobody.
See? Right exactly where dude was. You can even hear him a little bit.
You didn't say body language. You said communication. Communication is verbal.
Is body language not part of communication?
Listen, you can hear his voice a little bit. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, but no.
See?
Nobody is talking to you.
But that's not.
Nobody's talking to you. I can be kissed and fawned over on camera, but you don't get to speak. This is why this content is very simple, but resonates with so many people. It's authentic. It shows what people really are like.
Nobody is talking to you.
Because
Even when they know they're on camera, and they're going to be clipped up, they still can't present anything.
body language is communication.
Communication is verbal.
Okay.
Is it though? Is this not communication? Is that not communication? Is that not communication? I think those are all forms of communication. I mean, maybe homegirl here needed to be held more as a child. But yes, that's communication.
You want to have good communication? We can sit and have a conversation.
Okay, so let's talk about verbal communication.
Yeah.
Does no always mean no?
No.
Does no always mean no? This guy is on point.
Always means no.
Does yes?
Does it though?
Does always mean yes?
Yes always means yes.
It always does?
Always. If I'm saying yes, I am giving verbal consent. Yes. Okay. No means no. Always.
Okay. But a woman can't change her mind.
If I say no and then I say, you know what? I changed my mind. Yeah, I'm down for yes. Then that's a yes.
Okay.
But yes always means yes, and no always means no.
Yeah, women are way better at communicating.
Okay, but then, hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. What happens if a woman says yes, but she's drunk?
Well, that doesn't count because she's drunk, so she can't get consent when she's drunk.
Listen.
Listen, Linda, listen. Anybody remember that?
Listen, when we're drunk, we are different people.
But
it's still yes. But it's still yes.
No, yeah, I agree. No, even if you're drunk. No is a no.
Well, right, but if
That's not the question.
you're drunk, is yes? Can yes still mean yes? Can you?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah, no, yeah.
So then, if that's the
I'm
case,
drunk right now.
where is the
You don't say.
line between a clumsy pass and a sexual offense?
Ooh, interesting. We've already got we got big ears here and 2 nose rings. We got tattoo here. Let's see what we got.
I think a lot of it has with the reaction.
A lot of it has to do with how attractive I find you.
But I'm a big person on just feel the vibe. If you don't feel the vibe, and if you don't understand social cues, then maybe you should just wait and ask for consent.
Because men can be very, very fucking weird when they get
When they get rejected, sometimes you cannot reject a man without them literally harassing you.
At what point does pursuit become harassment?
When she's already made it verbally known that she doesn't want you around her, she's texting you, she doesn't want you to do this, or
which they don't do. They're like, well, I sent him the signals. He didn't get it. We're so much better at communication, but I expect him to read my mind and get it. What an asshole.
she's not interested. And if you continue to do that, then it's harassment because she doesn't want it.
Does no always mean no?
Yes, no always means no.
Does yes always mean yes? Does no?
That was a very purposeful cut. That was a very purposeful cut. Watch that again. This is somebody who knew exactly what they were doing when they were editing this video.
No.
Yes, no always means no.
Does yes always mean yes?
Cut.
Does no always mean no?
No.
Does yes always mean yes?
No.
So
what are the rules? What are the rules?
So how can no always mean no if yes doesn't always mean yes?
Because no means fucking no.
Doesn't yes mean fucking yes?
Sometimes.
So then does sometimes maybe no maybe mean no, and sometimes no maybe mean
Yes means not yes when I want it to mean yes.
Who's better?
There you go. There you go. It means what I want it to mean when I want to mean it. It means what I want it to mean when I want it to mean it that. And you, gentlemen, are expected to know exactly what that is and where she's at and all of that.
Communication, men or women?
Oh, with women for sure.
Can we just play that back? As those 2 sentences together. Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
So then does sometimes maybe no maybe mean no, and sometimes no maybe mean
Yes means not yes when I want it to mean yes.
Who's better communication, men or women?
Oh, with women for sure.
No's more stern. Yes is like it can go either way, but no.
Hey, we got Douglas Edwards in the building. Welcome, buddy. Said, good evening. I find it interesting. Some of the females in this video actually think they have no accountability. Well, then you need to familiarize yourself with this channel. It's complicated because this is all they do. Street talking videos, and it is frankly amazing. It's frankly amazing. He's very good at asking questions and asking the right questions. And he gets, all of this. Well, I'm just living my truth and all of that manifestation and visuals, breaks it all down and shows them and, traps them semantically into being like, oh, I guess what I think is bullshit. Well, welcome, Douglas.
Was like, done. Yes comes as a nicety, and no means no. That's it.
I was in the military and I've seen a lot of this.
What?
Where women say yes to the end and then when they're in captain's mast in trouble because the next morning they regretted it. So that's why men have to be careful and cautious on what they do. And alcohol makes everything worse. So don't even attempt to do it when there's alcohol involved.
Well, how can no always mean no if yes doesn't always mean yes?
Because that's the complication of women, sadly. No one can understand it, but that's the world we live in.
No one can understand it.
It's not fair.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, guys. So I got 3 of you here. I'm pretty sure you're all in the Discord server. Douglas, if you're not in the Discord server, you need to join the Discord. Because this show's kind of been all over the place, and I don't necessarily know where everybody's at. So I'm going to hop over to Discord. If anybody wants to come and join panel, have a little chat about what we saw tonight, the communication breakdown video, the political stuff, or anything else, you can find me there. I hope in the future we're gonna get Fridays are tough. Fridays are tough. People are out. People are doing stuff. So Friday is when I gotta try to experiment, do different stuff, try to bring new people in. I know you guys are always with me, but obviously you guys have lives to live. Bro, a lot of people are confused on it. Just click the link. It's in the description. Actually, I'll put it in the chat right now. You just click the link, and you just need, I think it's an email or a phone number, one or the other. And I'll help you through it. I'll be there. And then of course you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at IndianJesus off, like official IndianJesus off. Hit me up there, and the party rages on. But Discord is the best place to find me, best place to see what I'm watching, what I'm thinking about. I'm always posting stuff there, and we got a good group of people, and it is growing, and it will continue to grow. And once it reaches a certain point, I'm cutting it off. And all of you who were smart enough to join before we hit that number, all of you are going to have a lifetime free subscription. But everybody else is going to have to pay. And they're going to want to pay. They're going to want to pay. I'm not going to, $5 a month. Some local shit. But it's happening. We're doing it. We already have a movie night set up for Sunday. And it's growing. So make sure you're down there. Another little announcement tomorrow from 4 p.m. Eastern. I may not be there right at the start at 4 p.m., but from 4 p.m. to like 10 p.m. Eastern, the UFC Fight Night card is going to be on, and I will be on the Talking Shit podcast. If you just search, it's easier to search Filthy Casual MMA Watch Party. Filthy Casual MMA Watch Party on the Talking Shit podcast. If you're in Discord or follow me on social media, you will see the links there. But that is where Dr. Evil Genius, who was in here earlier, he and I watch the UFC fights, but we also talk a lot about a lot of other things. I'm not a UFC fan. It is a good time, and you can definitely help steer the conversation away from some of the fight stuff, along with very comprehensive coverage of the fights. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out tonight. This, like I said, Fridays are tough. People are out. People are doing stuff. But I very, very, very much appreciate you guys. And I hope to see you over in the panel. Like I said, as soon as this is over, I am jumping right over there. I'm not even going to move. So, and it's, like I said, it's free. Also free. Completely free. Like $0. It is absolutely free, guys, to hit that like button. It is absolutely free to hit the subscribe button. It's also free to hit the notification bell and to change it to all notifications. We had somebody who didn't get a notification today. Maybe you didn't set it to all, and I hate that they make you do that. And even sometimes that doesn't work. So you know what else is free? To take the URL of this video and post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever else you post shit, wherever else people see anything. Email it to your parents. Anybody. Let's get this rolling. We are moving. We are growing, and so you probably already have an account. Hold on one sec. What was your username, Doug? I'll stay here with you to make sure you get in. Yeah, what is the username you're using? Because if you already have an account with that number, then you gotta make sure whatever account you first used with that's got to be on there. But why don't you hit me up on Twitter or Instagram? I'm putting the so it's at IndianJesus off. Hit me up, Instagram or Twitter. I'll be right here. I've got everything open. and I will help you through it. Sevenfold. Okay, so I'll make sure. Is that what's your? Yeah, hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll walk you through it, and then we'll be there. So everybody else, I will see you over there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, I appreciate everything that you guys do, hanging out, spending time with me, all the likes, the subscribes, all of that good stuff. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for partying with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Until next time, I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. I will see you guys in 2 seconds in Discord. Peace. Oh shit, I don't have this ready. Peace.